Hello everybody and welcome to the final video here for Survivor Week, the history of the Survivor class. Buckle up, get some popcorn, because this movie, well, won't have explosions, will sure be entertaining. That is not a promise. I can't guarantee that this movie is...
explosions in
here. Can you imagine there's actually just like halfway through, my wall back there just explodes.
Your furnace just ignites or something.
Just like, oh god. That would be really funny. That would be really funny.
I mean, like, if that happened, you would have to leave it in
I would,
the video.
yes. Yeah. I mean, me edit a video? There's no way. All right. So we've been playing Arkham since the beginning. And Survivor was actually the first class that I played. I played a Wendy Adams deck, and I swung a baseball bat at a Ghoul Priest. And it was a time. It was a time.
That was definitely a different time.
And since then, I've been playing Survivor quite a bit, so I hopefully will have stuff to add here, but we're going to kind of look at the class, how it's evolved. As always with these videos, it's going to be longer at the beginning while we set the stage for what the class is, what the class kind of changed through, and then also the newer cards we've played with less, so we're going to have less things to say about them. But we're going to have a lot at the beginning, so let's dive in.
So much.
Starting with the core set, which we were introduced to Wendy Adams. 4-3-1-4 stat line, and she had an ability where she could discard a card from her hand after revealing a chaos token to draw another chaos token. She was rogue in her splash, and she didn't, I don't think Wendy actually does, a good job of showing what the core set Survivor cards were. But what I think she does show is that, one, Survivors, some of them don't care what's on their card. They can just, be blank cards in their deck, and you'll be able to get things done. But I think what it also shows is Survivors are kind of defensive. She has 4 brain and 4 foot. And Survivors can get things done by being scrappy, as evidenced by me using a baseball bat and Wendy's ability to just kind of brute force my way through a Ghoul Priest.
Yeah, I think she does a really good job of showing off the Survivor Rogue mix as well, in that she has that primarily Survivor tankiness. She's got a nice even 7/7 for health and sanity, and then she's got the 4 willpower and 4 foot, and then she doesn't really do things well though, and you need to kind of come up with a way to do that, whether it's through interactions between several cards or accepting that you're gonna fail. And she benefits really well from a lot of the rogue cards that came out admittedly later, but that's added your foot onto whatever stat you were using for things.
Yep.
She also benefits, or she also showcases her ability is a nice mix of the two, where you've got the red discarding cost and then the green cheating tests sort of thing, which is more of a rogue thing these days than it is Survivor, really.
Yes, yeah. And then also there's a thing that Wendy was strong out of the box. It's true though, even though she can't really get things done, she was still very strong because of leveraging her ability, but also when Survivor first came out, Lucky was huge, right? Lucky is still playable, especially Lucky 0, but it's kind of fallen off quite a bit from what it once was when you have a small collection. And that's just being able to just pass a test to do something important can be really big between getting it done and not.
Yeah, I think as far as Lucky is concerned, that card is probably going to be a once in future king here when we get rotation.
Yes,
and Lucky is always available.
Yes, yeah, no, that's very true.
It's going to be a huge piece of collections again.
Yeah,
like it used to be.
Hopefully, it was nice playing with it.
Unless red cards get real fucked.
Yeah, they get super lucky. Plus
this
4.
one does the same thing, but you discover a clue and you damage an enemy if there's one.
Wow,
that's so cool.
No, I remember back when we were first playing, we didn't think Wendy was as good as she is. I think we recognized that she was good, defensively, but we were really harsh on her ability to do things. But again, because she didn't really have any of the green cards are garbage.
Yes.
What were you doing? You're pulling out Switchblade and your one punch investigator.
Backstab, I think.
You had backstab and sneak attack, which were okay.
Those were both pretty alright options to hurt things because you would probably pass them.
But she's not shooting the Derringer. She's not using Opportunist. Yeah.
Green cards were just bad though.
She didn't get too much out of the green splash. So I think we undervalued what she could do. We still thought she was good, but we didn't really appreciate exactly how strong her ability is.
Yeah, and then also, like, realistically, too, even with evade, she's very good at evading. She's very good at using, like, sneak attack and backstab, but we never really, like, appreciated that, except when it came to fighting boss monsters. Like, we really appreciated it fighting the Ghoul Priest. And I think this does a good job of teaching you why evading enemies is important and why Wendy is, like, really good at that.
Yeah. One thing I think is actually really funny is when you look at the core set investigators and they gave us things like Abandoned and Alone and Cover Up, and we were like, this is just how basic or personal weaknesses are going to be. Yeah. They're just an absolute, shit kicking. And then they were like almost never that bad again.
Yes, yeah. Abandoned and Alone it's one of those things where you draw it early and you're like, thank God I just took 2 direct horror. And then you get like halfway through the game and you're like, man, I really hope I see that soon, because if I don't,
or not at all.
Yeah, or not at all. And then if it's like you get to the bottom 3 cards and you're like, it's over. It's over.
So over.
Yeah, we did also get like one of the softest personal weaknesses in Skid's like hospital deaths.
Yeah, but
that's a good balance.
It doesn't do
we got
anything.
one of the softest investigators.
But yeah, he also doesn't do anything.
So squishy.
I think Wendy Adams is like a terrific interpretation of the character from all aspects of the game. Like every other time that she's existed, it's kind of like, what do? You ignore or mitigate a fundamental threat that the game provides.
Yeah.
We do that.
Yeah, like in 2nd edition, she got to like ignore enemies in the streets or something like that.
She got to ignore enemies in the streets. So in the 2nd edition, if you encountered an enemy in the street, you had to stop, fight them, and then end your turn.
Yeah.
Wendy was just like, these guys don't exist.
Yeah, she had like always elusive.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go where I was going to go.
Yeah.
And then in Eldritch, she could was she the one who could do gate encounters if there weren't monsters there?
I think so.
Yeah, that checks out pretty close to it.
Right.
Yeah. So like, she dodged a lot of stuff and was like, my numbers kind of suck.
Yeah.
Which we also sort of hit here. Like,
a little bit, yeah.
4/4 on the defensive ones, not great unless you are purple.
Yeah. Another thing too is that Wendy's amulet card was very strong. It's very strong today. It's a little bit of like, you need to like be able to combo to get it out and play to get it more reliable. But there wasn't that when this first came out. But the card was still good as a way for us to scavenge it back for an endless unexpected courage. That's something that we used quite a bit when we were first playing out with Wendy.
Yeah, we didn't actually play it all that much, I don't think, because like you didn't have the money to afford replaying Look What I Found and like Kind Distraction over and over again. Will to Survive, right? You don't have any economy. And also your other option was Rabbit's Foot, which we'll talk about in a bit, and that one was pretty primo at the time because we were failing a lot of tests.
Yes.
I mean, her amulet, most of what that card did was like, I haven't seen my Abandoned Alone yet. I'm going to start putting cards on the bottom of my deck.
Yeah, it's like a panic button.
Because then I might not die.
It is interesting how it shifted from being like an answer to Abandoned Alone to like, you're like, oh, Abandoned Alone is bad, so they gave us Wendy's amulet to mitigate it, and now we're like, they give us Abandoned Alone to mitigate Wendy's amulet.
So it's very interesting as well. We're talking a lot about Wendy, but I think it's a big framework because survivors, they kind of live in their investigators more than the other classes, I think, right? Like
we've also all played Wendy several times and all have a good time when we play her. So
Survivor is a lot less like playing blue or purple, where you are playing a blue deck or you are playing a purple deck. Like when you're playing red, you're playing a Wendy deck.
Yes.
Or you're playing a William deck.
Yeah.
Or
Pete deck. Or a Duke deck.
Yeah.
That's a word. It's my Duke deck.
Our splash investigator in here was Agnes Baker, and I think Agnes Baker is actually a very good survivor splash due to the survivability that it provides, especially once we get into Dunage Legacy. She found a new best friend in the form of Peter Sylvester.
Well, a lot of people did.
It's true. But she also was able to make use of Lucky and like Look What I Found to do things as well. So she was just a really nice like survivor splash for her option there. And then let's get into the cards. Here's the first batch of what were like the primo cards, like the Chef's Kiss. I want to play these like in all my decks.
These are the ones that like we played for a long time moving forward as well.
Yeah. I mean, I still like like Lucky 0. still sometimes makes it. Look what I found is like still always there. It's just like really good clue compression.
Yeah, we don't necessarily play them anymore, but like we play Lucky, and Rabbit's Foot was one of the premium choices for that slot if you weren't like Will Yorick for a very long time.
Yeah, you just put it in and it just draws you cards while failing the game.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt that the first two were also like throw cards away from your hand to do things.
Yes. Yeah.
More cards is good.
You need cards so bad.
Yeah. No, I'm surprised that the Luckies don't have shuffle warping.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's because we've probably drawn from all of our different
I
collections
imagine,
as well.
A little bit.
We play it. You guys didn't get your own collections like Forgotten Age about, right?
I think mine was Carcosa.
Carcosa?
Yeah. So they were well loved. I mean, they were pretty much there in every campaign.
Yeah,
we
someone
played.
had them.
There was a lot of like, hey, I can splash red, which means that I get to buy cards that are not red with my XP. You do not.
Yes.
What if I take the level 0 Luckies and you buy the level 2 ones? Because what else are you going to spend your XP on?
Yeah, pretty much.
That is
you get by Aquanaut? I don't think so.
Yeah, these are just banger cards.
good.
Banger cards. Keeping this up, we got some kind of like a taste into some more survivor areas that they wanted to explore in this set. One part of the survivor weapons is the idea is that it's a thing you just find in the room that you were hiding in. It's not like something you prepare to bring. It's not like a cop bringing a gun.
It's not intended to be a weapon. It's just a thing.
Yeah, this is just Wendy Adams finds this baseball bat and starts swinging it. And they showed this by these cards actually, like the baseball bat is actually a very good weapon. +2 fist and +1 damage is very good. But they have the downside that the cards can break. And this is something they touch on occasionally again a few other times. But baseball bat was kind of like the first big thing to show like, oh, survivor weapons aren't
not as reliable as they might be.
Tells a great story though. Tells a great story. Cunning Distraction also tells a great story, which is monkeys like turkey.
They do.
They just do. They just do.
They do.
Yeah.
The hard part about this card is like the symbols on it were good, and we probably played it for just that reason. But 5 resources was a lot when your economy was emergency cash.
Yeah, you had emergency cash, but there were also only like 4 of them or whatever. So.
Yeah, that's true. That was tough.
You know.
No, we had 8. Everyone got emergency cash because
there were only 4 of them because I was playing 4 of them.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, no, this card was like fantastic filler. It took us a while to appreciate how like good it actually was in seeing once Survivor access some actual economy. But yeah, it was fantastic filler. It was just 2 symbols.
It's a guts.
Yeah, it's guts. Another symbol when it's not a guts, and then every once in a blue moon it was evade everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Survival Instinct, I feel like we treated this card like trash. And like it's actually kind of good.
Yeah.
It turns out.
I mean, a big thing for that was just that we hated evading, right? And it
was less good.
Yeah, well, it made sense because like we had like machete, right? So it's like, why would I waste my time evading something when I could just kill it with a machete, right?
Especially considering that most of the enemies in the core set were acolytes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like scenario 1, it's like all ghouls, but half the ghouls follow you around after you evade them. So you got to evade them again.
Yeah. But as like evading became more viable, Survival Instinct became a card that we played more. Mostly Travis was the one who started being like, you know what, I think this card's actually like good. And it is. It solves the evade lock problem, which a lot of people fall into, which is when you evade 2 enemies, but then next turn you're still there, right? So like this allows you to move away from them, which was very important that we didn't really see because again, evading was poo-poo. And machete kill thing.
I mean, this card should be good. It's the designers thought it was as good as Deduction or Vicious Flow.
It's true. Yep.
But they also thought
they also thought it was good as Fearless and Opportunist.
Opportunist was a miss. Fearless is like I think it's a little bit better than we give it credit for. Level 2 Fearless is like quite good.
Yeah, I played Fearless. Yeah, whenever.
Fearless level 1 is like a little shaky because the 1 simple, but yeah. No, this card's pretty solid.
Yeah. And then we had Will to Survive. Is this the mistake slide? The Will Survive just make it because I noticed there weren't as many mistake slides for this one.
Well, I didn't really have.
I know when they were there though.
Yeah. Kinda. So these are like Scavenging and Alclar mistakes. I wouldn't say Will to Survive was a mistake, but it didn't really fit anywhere else. Yeah. So it just kind of showed up here.
Yeah. Will to Survive is, we always call it the best card that we never play, and I think that's true for the entire time of our Arkham playing.
There was like one brief point in time where we were playing it with resourceful and
Yes.
like true survivor.
Yeah.
To just be like, whenever I don't want to run tests on my turn.
Yeah.
Sweet, yeah, I'll just do it.
You could probably go back to like any video where we talk about Survivor or like core set cards and hear us say, wow, this card's really, really strong. We should play it more. And then you watch our
And that
videos
does
and we do not.
we do not do this stuff.
No.
I think like a big reason is that the card is actually really good, right? Like just being able to just say, okay, I'm doing
my 3 things this turn.
Yeah. And then if you find a way to take more actions, it's
Yeah.
like, it's just like, we like the suspense, you know? There's not often you actually see us do testless stuff with
Yeah,
the
it
three of us
doesn't
when we
make for
play.
good TV.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. It's
We-
also not that exciting.
No, like we can't see
For
the
me.
Bryn draw skull,
Yeah,
skull,
like,
auto fail, put 3 Doom on a
whatever.
cultist.
Yeah,
That
that would have
doesn't-
been a lot less exciting if Bryn just didn't draw any tokens.
Yeah, Min wouldn't have died if we were able to, I don't know who's playing it on scenario 2, but, that's where all that stuff comes from. And then there is scavenging. Putting here the small seed of the idea that survivors can recur. And it makes sense, like in theory, when you think about it, right? Like Wendy discards cards. It would be cool if that she had a way that she could work to get those cards back. But like with any form of recursion, there's that risk that eventually it can become too good, right? I would say with just in the core set, when you're mostly, as we said, scavenging back Wendy's amulet or a rabbit's foot that you've committed for a symbol, scavenging is pretty okay as printed, right? But then as things grew, you'll actually see us talk about scavenging probably quite a bit as we get through this video, because it's kind of just a very big part of the red color pie. And then also just the idea of recursion is also, for a long time, very unique to the Survivor class.
Yeah, it's very defining for the class's decks now. Anyone who's playing, if you're trying to actually investigate locations, your deck is almost certainly going to be better as a scavenging deck. It takes up a ton of design space, and it really is just kind of like casts a very long shadow over a lot of other cards.
What about
Yeah.
the massive opportunity cost of putting this card in your deck and then having to play it?
It is pretty big, but I don't know if it's big enough.
Yeah.
One thing that's also was interesting in scavenging was seeing like how it evolves also in Splash Investigators, where Agnes Baker, when she started to be able to investigate with her brain, was then also able to start scavenging things back.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, and Rex Murphy.
Yes, and Rex Murphy. Yeah,
Because he needed to succeed by 2 to get his extra clue, which is the amount you need to
you can
succeed by
only
the scavenge
use your
stuff.
succeed
Yeah.
by 2 to trigger 1 effect, though.
No.
Oh,
Oh, no. It's all coming clear to Bryn that he just votes for Rex as the best seeker every time. He doesn't understand why.
Yeah.
We just do it, and we're so matter of fact about it. He's like, I'm going to look like a dumbass if I don't.
We've been calling this guy S for years. We
Yeah.
gotta
It's all coming together for that now for Bryn.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about scavenging, and also just we're actually gonna get to cards later on that do not remove themselves from the game, and then were changed to remove themselves from the game. And this is a big part of like them learning things,
Some things
about
should not be able to repeat.
yes, and that some cards maybe should have been altered or different than how they were today.
Mutated, perhaps.
Yeah. Aquina is here too.
Gosh,
I
she's
mean,
bad.
1/4 soak was like pretty hype for a minute,
Yeah.
and then the next cycle came out,
The next set came out, yeah.
and it was not anymore.
Yeah. And a big thing too is that like you compare Aquina to like same experience cost, you get an extra action each turn, which was really big. Like Wendy would be playing Leo DeLuca over Aquina, right?
Oh, for sure.
You look at Guardian, they have Beat Cop, 1 less resource, but even at level 0,
Gives
right?
you
Like the
plus
Beat
one to
Cop
your
plus
do
1
something
fist.
number.
Dr. Milan Christopher, who we didn't play when we first came out because there's nothing to do with your resources, he is miles above it. So Aquina is just kind of like not
I actually
there.
think she was intended to be played by Agnes.
That's fair, yeah.
Because you have the big horror soak to make up, like, so you can keep your horror for your ability.
Yeah.
And then you have the don't take attack damage thing because you can't fight very consistently. You only have the shrivelings to fight with, or like baseball bat if you're feeling real spicy. And then you only have 3 foot to evade things, so she can like eat an attack or whatever, or progress that to if you can't quite get there with your evades.
Yeah.
And then there aren't really Mystic didn't get an upgrades ally in the core set either. And this also gave you an out to get rid of your Arcane Initiate.
Yeah. I think it's a very fair analysis on that. I think that also Aquanaut was a showcase of what they imagined, what this this game was in their original design concept, and also potentially in their playtesting if this card was made as it was, which was the idea is that you're going to be surrounded by enemies. But then, as we mentioned, Machete good at just killing enemies.
Machete is pretty good.
And so was the 45 automatic if you had 2 enemies with you, right? Shoot one, Machete the other.
Yeah, they really intended every class to play like Survivor, I think.
Yep.
Where they were like, you're gonna do like one thing kind of good and everything else not very good, and you're gonna fail a lot.
Yep.
But that's not the case. Like, I think that is a big part of why scavenging is the way it is, because they were like, succeeding by 2 is gonna be hard.
Yes.
And then, but in the game now, I mean, for years it's been like, I have 7 book just by existing.
Yes. Yeah.
Just from like the assets I have in play or whatever.
Yep. 100%. All right, on to the campaign. Survivors, like Mystics, it's going to be kind of boring because they're not really, like, challenged too much. Because, again, if the idea is that you just survive, you can outlast damage and horror, you can, like, make your way through tests that are put against you, you can beat the challenges with adversity, you will eventually win. A few things that I do have some few things for the campaigns that I think we do challenge them when they show up, but as a whole, most of the stuff for Survivor is just like, I can survive a Rotting Remains because I have Aquana, or I have Lucky, or I have a Peter Sylvester, and that's kind of like what it's going to be for a lot of this. Ghoul Priest I have here because of the whole Wendy Adams situation where evading was really good, it turns out.
Yeah, the biggest thing that Survivor struggled with in this first in the Night of the Zealot, I think, and also a little bit for Dunage Legacy, was just the enemies.
Yep.
Like, it was hard to it took a lot of actions to get past some of the enemies.
Yes.
The ones you actually need to kill, yeah. So sure, some of them you could just evade and forget about. But
I mean, I probably...
Like, Ghoul Priest, like, yeah, that's... You play with 3 people, that's 15 health. What are you doing with your 1 punch? What are you doing with your 2 or 1 shriveling charges you have remaining? Like, not much.
Yeah. And then also just, I think I might have it in Dunich, but, like, the other thing, too, is at this point, they only had a baseball bat to fight with.
Yep.
So if that broke on, like, the first hit, it's like, oh, no.
It's easy. You just evade the enemy and then scavenge it back after you commit, like, 3 cards, because passing by 2 is hard. You have 3 book.
Yeah.
So you can have the privilege of attacking for 2 at 3 punch next turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy, though, was, like, real tough for that, because, like, you draw the auto-fail, you're like, sweet, no baseball bat, also almost dead.
Yes, yeah.
It's like both your legs.
I guess.
We then go on to Dunich, where we got Ashcan Pete, who is...
Got a dog.
Yeah, he has got a dog.
Duke, not Ashcan Pete.
And I think what Duke the dog really showcases here is that Survivor's ability to be flexible. Every other class, like, they had to work for it a little bit, right? But, like, Guardians had to kill enemies. Rogues had to say they were just there. Mystics, they started to
wait for another expansion to come out.
Mystics they started to get some ways to investigate. Seekers had some ways to deal damage in this box. But Survivors had it printed on their card. And this is also echoing that statement earlier where you're not playing a Survivor, you're playing an Ashcan Pete Duke the Dog deck. And the same sort of thing here where you could treat your cards as anything because they meant like another activation. They meant like a vicious blow attack. They meant like a move and investigate, right? So it basically turned all your cards into those. And Ashcan Pete was very good, especially at like starting just coming into the first scenario, being like, I'm going to kill it. But then we started to see with Dunage Legacy, when we started to get a full campaign environment, that Survivors, when they upgraded kind of differently than everyone else. By that, I mean they were done in like 3 scenarios, and then they were just like, what am I doing after this?
Well, I mean, part of that was because they had the exile cards. It was intended they were going to spend experience on that. And the other part of it was their experience cards sucked.
Yeah, and they also capped out at 3, too. So even if they were good, which they weren't when you just started, they kind of just, like, lived there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for a long time, when we were playing campaigns, we were like, somebody dies part way.
Yep, Ashcan Pete.
You start playing Ashcan Pete because Ashcan Pete can play a level 0 deck on scenario 5 or scenario 6 and be like
pretty okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
fine.
Yes. Yeah. You'll
I
contribute.
guess. Yeah, like you won't be showing up doing nothing.
Yeah.
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 It's maybe not going to be great, but
We liked Ashcan, Pete, and Duke a lot when they first came out. We played them a lot through a lot of campaigns. There's Wendy. Our mutual love for Wendy, I think, kind of really showed up later as the especially the rogue card pool opened up more.
Yeah.
But Ashcan Pete was really nice for us because you played him and you would be able to contribute to everything. You could consistently get clues. You could consistently fight enemies.
well, you could consistently get like clue.
Yeah. I mean, more than you could actually do things that Wendy struggled with, and you had similar defensive stats. And then you also just kind of sat down and you're like, I'm playing the red cards.
Yep.
And then you guys can like play the other 4 colors to figure them out, and then
I'll take the best 5 cards.
yeah, the 5 other cards, and just kind of fill in. And that was something that Pete was really, really good at, was filling in the gaps.
Yes. I'd also like Peter. So what Ashcan Pete did.
Ashcan Pita.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about what Peter Sylvester is related to this. Is that he shows that like survivors care about their allies more, mostly because like
And also less.
yeah, and also less. But at the same time, like anytime that there is like a card that targets your allies, the survivors clench up first. And I think like Duke the Dog was like the first of this, and then also Peter Sylvester carries over this as well. They're kind of like linchpins for your ability to do what your name is, which is survive. And I think Duke was a good first example of that, because it's like whoever's like, what happens if Duke dies? It's like, well, then you don't do anything really. You're just kind of here.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, like, you can in theory play Pete Dukeless, but like, man, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Exactly.
Yeah, you still have I mean, you could contribute a little bit. Obviously, weren't doing as much as you were before, but you could throw your local eye founds and get a couple clues. You could evade some enemies, but yeah, it was not nearly as functional as when you had Duke.
Well, a nice thing too about the the Dunich investigators with that splash is that like with Ashcan Pete, you can play Shriveling as well to also deal damage additionally on top of that, and also we've seen Duke. He is Duke play like Rite of Sequence as well, which I think is really nice and really good for why the Dunich splash was very good for like a long time because it just lets you open up that quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's still like pretty okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. Here are some very exciting cards from this cycle. Darkhorse was an archetype that was the survivor archetype. I have no resources,
a very long time.
and all my stats are better.
Yeah, I mean, it still kind of is.
Yeah.
You played this deck so much, Justin.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I played it
so
quite
many
a bit.
Darkhorse decks.
Well, because like it's the theory is that when your number bigger, you pass more.
Yeah.
That does track.
Yeah. And then we got some support in with Fire Extinguisher coming up on the next page here.
Darkhorse was really nice to play, especially early in the campaigns, because they were like, you get better if you don't have any money, and you're like, I can't make money good anyway. I frequently don't have money.
Yeah. And this is actually, I think, a big reason why Survivor, like by design, Survivor Economy was in the dirt for the longest time, because like they're the class that's like not supposed to have resources.
Supposed to try to figure it out.
Yeah. And like while Darkhorse is still an archetype that you can play like today, no problem. There's a lot of support for it. As cards got better, they beat the cost, like they beat like the +1 to all your stats.
A lot more than just like +1 number with a card from your hand.
Yeah.
To be fair, like it does play very well with Mariner's Compass and the Fire Axe now, especially the upgraded Darkhorse.
Yeah. Well, the upgraded Darkhorse you could just put into your deck and just like get
sometimes
value.
It happens and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like as an archetype, I feel like Fire Axe and Mariner's Compass, if you can find them consistently, are strong enough payoff to make it worth it. So.
And then also like there's now so many different forms of economy that you can actually just like there's also like shared economy, so you can actually
like Bank Job and Faustian Bargain are really, really good for that, where they give you money when you need it, and if you don't need it, they're still not dead, you just give it to your teammates.
Yeah.
Yeah, and stuff like what do you call it? The blue card that seals bless tokens on it. And Schaffner's catalog.
The Rite of Sanctification and Schaffner's.
You can continue to pay money for cards without having any money in your pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also in Dunage, we had Peter Sylvester, who was the Aquina was like kicked in the face by this guy and, like forgotten.
Yeah,
pretty much
was
forever.
Like, slow down.
Yeah, this guy was like peak ally for years and years and is still extremely good.
Yes, yeah. His upgraded,
absurdly good.
His level 0 version is also still very good for like three cost. It's like you basically can stop all incidental horror.
Yeah, it's actually kind of silly because like the level 0 Peter is incredible. If they printed that just as a card, we'd be like, this is really good. But the level 2 is so cheap and you get so much value for the 2 experience. You just like you rush into it anyway.
So this is actually what I talked about at length for yesterday's video for Survivor Week, which because Survivor was compressed to 3 XP, they kind of skewed higher in their power level. I feel like if this card was released today, Peter Sylvester would have been 3 XP, but because they capped out at 2, he kind of lives there. But also the idea was, again, Agnes Baker probably skewed that as well, because she loves Peter. But I think it's a very interesting thing that was kind of like a cause and effect of that design choice, because man, is he good for 2 XP.
He's so fucking good.
Yeah. Scrapper was the Survivor card from this cycle of permanence. It's the fair one. Also works really well with Darkhorse. It allows you to actually gain the resources for Darkhorse and like use that to your advantage.
Yeah. It is worth knowing that Fire Axe also came out in this set, and I forgot to put it on the list.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It should be on this slide.
It should be on this slide. Fire Axe. So that's a 1-cost weapon that if you have no resource in your resource pool, you get a deal +1 damage when you fight. And during a fight action, you can spend a resource to get +2 up to 3 times for that. And that was a very important part of Survivor decks.
Yeah.
Because it kind of felt into that like baseball bat approach where you can make anything work, you just have to like push yourself to it, right?
Yeah. Fire Axe is also very important for just consistency in general. Zoe in particular really appreciated it.
Yes.
Having Machete on one hand and then like the Fire Axe as backup, assuming that Pete wasn't playing them.
She also worked with it really well because of her ability.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it also plays very well with Scrapper, which is what reminded me of it.
Yeah. All right. Some of the experienced cards here, which are...
That's right. I remember to put Fire Extinguisher here because that card's dog water.
We kind of got a glimpse into this cool part of the Survivor card pool, which was called awkward or bad upgrade cards. I think Stroke of Luck we did kind of malign. It's just...
fine.
It's better than it looks. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But like these were all cards that was just like, why would I like to upgrade this, right? We saw Fire Extinguisher. It gives you +1 fist for this attack, but you compare that to Fire Axe, and it was just like, why would I want to run this? There is the Exile thing, which is something we have not talked about yet, but this was a big part of the Survivor identity for a while, which the idea is that you
are going to be engaged with 1,000 guys.
Yes, and then you want to exile this, and then the idea is that this card is stronger because you exile it, and then you can buy it back with your experience that you earn from this scenario.
Yeah. Looking at these cards, I think I understand like the design idea behind it, where they wanted, especially seeing like Lure's 2-foot symbols and like what it does in conjunction with Cunning Distraction, where I think they wanted the cards to be disposable for symbols, so you could like try and pass tests with your kind of crappy stats, but then also be relatively strong in niche situations. They wanted your cards to be good, but only like they want to be very strong, but only sometimes.
Yeah.
And then they want them to be just okay.
Yeah.
When that situation doesn't come up, like Fire Extinguisher. If you are engaged with like 5 dudes, this card's incredible, right?
Yeah.
But also getting attacked for +1 punch, not so good. Lure, if you are playing a scenario where you need an enemy at a specific location for some godforsaken reason, this card's incredible.
Yeah.
But every other time, it does nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting because at this point now, like, I've legitimately brought Lure into scenarios as a tech card, right? And I feel like that's
that's what they wanted.
Yeah, the result of all this. When also campaigns weren't about just being like stat ball, but just like making it work with what you have.
Yeah.
It would be more relevant. But unfortunately, already at this point, like Machete and stuff existed, and again, you just didn't innovate. Magnifying Glass just did it. Yeah. These, however, were some nice cards that came in here.
These are good.
Flare. I played this one all the time, but foolishly played it for its ally mode because that was just so much more fun.
I mean, getting Pete Sylvester back there, like he was always the best card in your deck, and having another card that found him was great. But yeah, like there's definitely situations I think where you play Flare and you're like,
I can't play my second one because I need it if Pete dies.
Yes, yeah. Or I would even like fire it into your deck. And then, yeah. One thing, though, this is a good learning moment for anyone who's learning Arkham. You only exile it on the second one if you find an ally. So then, comma, is a rule in Arkham that has been one of the rules that's actually been consistent from the whole get-go.
Really?
Yes, yeah. This one has
good
always
for them.
worked this way. You only do anything after a then, comma, if the effect before triggered. I, however, did not know this, but that's my advice advice to you. Only lose that if you do actually find an ally.
I mean, yeah, you probably lost on like 5 experience over the years.
Yeah,
like-
and I'm never going to get that back.
no, you're not, but...
Well, I mean, you
What
probably
were
did,
your
you probably
expected
did get
on?
that back from, like, Delve Too Deeps or whatever.
Yeah, that is fair, yeah, that is fair. All the end of the thicks of it's I taken, yeah.
Yeah.
The down the rabbit holes, yeah. Hi, Russell. You want to come up to the table? We're doing a talkie video. You can come up here. Okay.
We'll come up here.
And then we have a chance encounter, which brought allies back. This
Like
was
this-
the level
is
0
this
version.
one?
Yeah, so you only brought back the Red Glove Man, which was kind of really only approached by survivor decks because they were the ones that were kind of using all of their stats to get things done.
So a bad number.
Yeah.
Yeah, like being Wendy and being able to have 6 in your punch
Book or punch,
or
yeah.
your book for a turn was like, that was great. That usually meant 3 damage or 3 clues.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he was a nice... he was also the Gandalf. So when we say the Gandalf, we mean the actual Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. It was a card that kind of existed in all of the Fantasy Flight games, which was a neutral ally that you
Like
put into play.
Big bombastic effect.
Yeah, it gives you a big effect and then leaves, and like Gandalf does. And this one is our Gandalf, not as ubiquitous as Gandalf or like Nick Fury from Marvel Champions, but
well, yeah, it's because
Still.
the deck building is very different, right?
yes, exactly.
Like you can't, if you could just put this into your deck, you would
You
see a
would
lot
do
more
it.
play.
Yeah, you would do it. On to the Dunage Legacy. So same sort of stuff here. Visions of Futures Past is the discard, which I put that here because Survivors had an interesting relationship with the discard in Dunich, which was scavenging existed. So it actually just fueled them to make them a little bit better.
Yeah, they were also the ones who could eat the Beyond the Veil.
Yes, yeah. I put the Curse Luck here as well because the -1 skills I think do hurt survivors more than the other classes. Like they can they can advance through failing, so they don't have that issue with the card. But a big thing about it is they have a harder time getting rid of it when it is on them.
Yeah.
All right, Bryn, it's your guy Will Yorick. So what did Will Yorick do to this game when he came out? Apart from giving you a survivor, you
Warwick.
played so
wanted to
much.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, so he does a lot of the like aforementioned recursion that is somewhat problematic, but he does it in like a very fair way. We can only recur assets, and we can only recur assets if we can pay for them, and there is an enemy to kill right now,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's already like
and we are
3
capable
levers.
of killing that enemy.
Yeah, there's already like 3 or 4 levers of like
Yeah.
conditions to do it.
Yeah, he plays Blue Splash and feels wildly different to pretty much any other survivor who exists.
There isn't really any others that are like clearly intended to be combat focused.
Except Honk.
Yeah, Hank. Okay.
Yeah,
But even
That's
Hank
right.
can turn
But
into
It's also very new.
you can turn into
that's
a
very new.
you can turn into like a not combat mode as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Hi, buddy.
Whereas Will York, they're like, you fight things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we got like our unique weakness is not real because we can just use it to replay something from our discard pile because in order, like the way that the thing is worded, it happens after we defeat the enemy, which means this guy who doesn't let us move things from our graveyard is not in play anymore.
Yeah, this one of the
which
first
is like a
rulings,
little
I
bit-
think was I was like, there, right?
It's like a little bit, yeah, maybe that's not how that should be. But we get to generate extra XP as well, which was very exciting at this point because they did
always
not.
exciting.
Well, I mean, these days is like less so because you get to the end of a campaign and they're like, you got 17 XP to spend, and you're like,
Do you not remember
what?
Do you not remember the last campaign we played where every time you bury them deep just in your pocket out, we're like, ah!
Yeah, but that's because they don't come back.
Yeah.
I was happy with the experience.
Thanks, Russell.
Russell.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of like it is interesting to see how people choose to use that card.
Yeah.
because there is a lot of variability. Like, are we just firing this as soon as we can to make sure we get the extra XP, or are we using it to try to mitigate an enemy who we don't want to fight a second time, like Wizard of the Order or a Mindless Dancer or something like that?
Yeah. I think there is a correct way to use it, but figuring out what it is, requires like a very deep understanding of the scenario.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like a brainstorm almost, where like if you pick the fifth best line, it's still pretty awesome though. Like,
yeah, that's fair. At the very least,
it doesn't matter if you.
No one's gonna be
choose
mad because they're like, experience, baby.
Yeah, like it's always good.
I think what was cool about Yorick was that, unlike the other classes where you had Guardian who all fought, you had Seekers who all investigated, you had Rogues who
all sucked.
Who were kind of designed to be flexible, right? Like they were kind of open. Mystics were also kind of be designed flexible. Survivors now had that thing where it's like signposting. Here's Wendy, she wants to get clues. Here's Yorick, he wants to kill. Here's Ashcampede, he wants to do a bit of both. So there's kind of a little flavor for each of them.
Yeah, like you mentioned at the very start, how you play a deck around Investigator. While the Survivor does definitely have all their own archetypes, each Investigator is also their own archetype for Survivor.
Yeah.
Yorick wants to fight and recur things. You have Kelvin Wright who wants to take damage. You have Silas who does skills.
Yep.
You have Hank who wants to die. You have the Wendy who gets to discard cards and just passed every test ever.
Yep.
Who are the other ones? You have
Rita who likes to evade.
She evades.
Patrice who is playing her own game.
Yep, she plays her own.
George who's kind of also playing his own game. He wants to discard. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very interesting part of the Survivor deck building even today, is meshing and the interactions between those Investigator card archetypes and the archetypes presented by the Investigators, what the Investigators want to do and how they interact with those.
Yeah. Hey, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that, buddy. Also, in this one we had Minty Fan, which she was a great support investigator and actually utilized the Survivor skills that came here. This also was an important signpost that the skill class, primarily is Seeker Survivor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You played a lot of Minty Fan back
Oh,
in the
I
day,
love
but-
him.
Yeah.
And then we got Resourceful, which was the next little problem that showed up.
Yeah, what can this card
This is the
recur?
good card
I don't know,
source.
is it a red card?
Yeah.
Red card.
Luckily, they put on there not named Resourceful, which wouldn't have done anything when you could only play it once, but if you could play it
it
multiple
would have
times.
been really good for Minty Fan, because you could have just committed Resourceful into Resourceful every turn. For
Yes, plus 2 to each of those.
Well,
one of those
I mean,
stats.
every action.
Would have been really good with double or nothing.
Yeah, it would have. So this card is a staple in all Survivor decks going forward, even to today. Just being able to get cards back is very impactful. We had a loop that just came out. This was True Survivor, where you would then return one of those cards as Resourceful.
Good thing Resourceful's not innate.
Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is the first thing that came out, I think, where we were looking at the game and we were like, do the designers know
Yeah.
that recursion is not... It's a scary thing to play with?
I feel like you have to learn as a designer what if it's your first game, if it's the first time playing a game or designing a big complicated card game, if you haven't played a lot and you're not aware of it, it's so enticing, right?
Imagine working at Fantasy Flight and not only have you never designed a card game before, you've never played a card game before, and they put you on the team for this. And you're just like, oh, it'd be really cool if you get to True Survivor.
But I mean, it's one of those things where Lord of the Rings has recursion, but none of it is crazy degenerate like it is in this game. And I know those are different things, right?
Netrunner has a pretty degenerate recursion stuff.
So does most of them, right? Most of them.
I'm sure Game of Thrones did too. I see stuff like this, I'm just it really is if you never played a card game before.
Game of Thrones didn't have too much.
No?
No, not in that one. But again, those games are action oriented, right? So it's I know Arkham is too, right?
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, it's strange because was there bad stuff in Five Rings, or did that die before they got too far for that?
No, there was.
Yeah, so there
It was
the
kind of
recursion.
recursion.
The recursion was instead of discarding this, I won't.
Yeah, Iron Mine for Crab.
Yeah.
Iron Mine was kind of messed up. At least the other one was an attachment, so you could interact with it.
Yeah.
How do you hate Travis's backpack?
It's got nice little holes for his claws. Yeah, like the really problematic stuff for that game that I remember was like your opponent doesn't get to play the game anymore.
Yes, that does seem pretty. I see you. So yeah, but like just how this already had like a resourceful true survivor loop was cool because it was like, here's this archetype I can play, but also at the same time it was like, this is bad and it's going to get worse. Like scavenging resourceful is an issue, and at level 0 meant that you kind of could just put it in any survivor deck.
Yeah, I mean, like at least at this point, there was no resource generation available really for red characters. Or any characters, really, because we kind of just didn't do that yet. We had emergency cash. So it's kind of like, if this is what you're doing, this is the only thing you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the situation, that in the environment that this was printed into, it wasn't that bad. Like Bryn said, there's not really there wasn't really resource generation. There wasn't really innate skills you could get back that actively did things. You know, we didn't have like brute force.
Yeah, it was mostly
or
like
sharp
guts.
vision.
It was guts and manual decks.
Yeah, but still, like from our point of view, having played lots of card games and over the years,
the second resourceful gets you.
yeah, seeing stuff like this was very much like concerning because it is like it's clear that you're printing infinite recursion loops without any consideration for the future.
Yeah. So now, whenever especially an event shows up, keep an eye on it. And we'll tell you which ones were removed from the game.
Yeah, which one's got the errata?
Madame Lebranche was a nice piece for Survivor, like not necessarily like economy, like it makes like one thing's like cheaper a turn, but also was really nice for Madame Lebranche with Darkhorse decks to basically get an extra trigger on your fire axe.
Yeah.
She wasn't really played too much because of Peter Sylvester, but she started to find a home more once you started to go into upgraded allies that weren't Peter Sylvester. She would be your level 0 placeholder in your deck.
Yeah. Also, once Survivor got access to other survival tools that weren't Peter Sylvester, like other ways to mitigate that horror damage, it became less important. And like I think we probably play level 0 Madame Lebranche more than level 0 Peter now.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Yeah, she's just like a nice little bit of everything.
Yeah. We call this the Will Yorick package because he loves digging with his Gregor shovel, lantern, and reading a newspaper.
They're in his artwork.
Yeah, these are here, so we have something to talk about.
Gravedigger shovel and lantern. Yeah, like I mean, lantern is. I think
it's okay.
Yeah, I think we actually probably would have played it more if like it wasn't Ashcan Pete and Will Yorick at this time, right?
And Wendy.
Yeah, and Wendy, right? Like if you had like a 4-book Survivor, being able to investigate, like this is basically just like a magnifying glass for that kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, like Wendy's the only one who would use this.
Yeah, so
really,
I think that was a.
York's not investigating with it
Duke
realistically.
has to use the action on Duke.
Yeah.
Newspaper, however, is kind of like a really good card for once again 2 XP.
Yeah, at this point, like every scenario has like at least 3 stages where you lose all your clues or you have to spend all your clues.
Yep. And like
card is actually kind of cracked in like Midnight Masks or scenarios like that where you have to spend clues to do a thing in order to progress the game state.
Yeah, it's like
you're just like, well, let's use mine, please.
Yep.
And then I'll get 2 more.
Yes, and you do it in Drowned City or Innsmouth. This card is insane because you're spending clues all the time in those ones to just advance the game state.
It's a great observation. That's not why I put this card here. It's here because it's for 2 books.
There's a 2-book for scavenging. Yes,
so you could commit newspaper to succeed by 2 and get back your other newspaper, baby.
Yeah, this is when this was like the shift from only Wendy's amulet doing this loop. It's now wait a minute, anyone can do this now.
Anybody.
Yeah.
We have a little package of cards here. Waylay was a good card. We actually played this card quite a bit. It was a good way for Wendy to eliminate things, and then I think it also is just like it carries over into a lot of survivors today. Being able to just kill things was great.
Yeah, it's good. Another example of that like niche design where they're like, you need to kill an enemy once, okay, and then it's a 3-cost event. You have to pass a test. You have to get a foot. Every other time, it's 2-foot symbols.
And it was also a fun thing for us to figure out that the broods in Undimensioned and Unseen weren't elite. We could just hit them over the head.
That's a bit of a whoopsie.
Test of Will is another exile card. Same with Devil's Luck. Test of Will was some nice just mythos mitigation. At this point now, we only had the Mystic class. They were able to do this, and the Survivors did it by just having good numbers. But now, Survivors could have just done it for that exile cost.
I should really play this card in more Yorick decks than I do.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very good.
Devil's Luck is... It's like so over the top in what it prevents, and it's like obviously in retrospect they put it here to like tech against Beyond the Veil, but we haven't really seen an effect like that until actually Hemlock Veil. Wait a minute, connecting the dots.
Beyond the Veil.
Yeah, I think a big issue with this card too was Perseverance came out in the next cycle, which costs 0 experience. It costs you like 1 more resource, whatever.
Yeah, but it also pitched for a Guts.
Yeah, it pitched for 2 brains, which is so much better than 1 foot. And also, it prevented 4 compared to this is 10, but like, who cares?
Yeah, it's the same
Yeah,
number.
I mean, like, flip side of this one is if this one prevented like 4 combined or 6 combined, would that make it feel better to play with? Because, like, it basically does that.
If it costs 0, it would. I
it's
think
probably gonna, like, it's not, I think it's,
So
this card is not like the other stupid one I've had worse.
Yeah.
Where, like, it prevents way more than you're ever gonna need to, but you are also paying for that.
Yes.
Right? Like, here we're like, this is pretty fair if I cancel, like, 3, probably 3.5 damage.
I think a big thing if this was in like another class, it would see more play. But because Survivors are, it's like, what do you mean? I Pete Sylvester.
Yeah, you already want.
That's a big thing. So. But because I do agree, like it is, I think totally fine. I think it's just like outclassed by other stuff.
Yeah, I think it would. Like I said, I think it would have a niche if it actually costs 0, regardless of how much it prevented, and then it would fit nicely into the Darkhorse decks.
Or if it had 2 foot like that.
Yeah,
too.
that would help too.
But then again, then you're asking like, why am I committing this to this Rotting Remains when this Grasping Hands when I could just like play it after?
Because you desperately need that experience.
Yeah. Say Your Prayers.
This is all of them.
Yeah, this is all of them. This whole cycle of cards, there were 4 of them, 1 for each skill. This was used quite often in Ashcan Pete because he only had 5 starting sanity.
You could start with 3 in the next cycle when Arcana Research came out.
Yes, you could. Yeah.
Yes, we did that a couple times.
Yeah,
and it was good.
I mean, you can do that now and start with 3 extra.
Yeah, there now is a much better version to do it with of in the thick of it. But
use that to buy your upgraded Pete Sylvester.
Yeah.
And then never die.
Never die, yeah. On to the Path to Corso campaign. I threw some corrosion here again to show that Survivor often is the class
that card's bullshit.
That don't get me started. It's almost my birthday, the anniversary of my fucking crash out over corrosion.
It was legendary.
But it shows that the Survivors are like kind of a unique class, kind of like the Mystics, where like if something happens, they're like, I'm okay with that. But like most of the time that it requires you to discard something from your hand or from play, Survivors are like, I'm okay with that. As also evidenced by George Barnaby. Just being like, you're making me discard cards from my hand. You're telling me to draw a card, baby. You know?
Hurt me like
except when the game's like throw away all your cards and you're like, fuck.
My boat broke. My boat broke. Keeping this as well, marked by the sign is horror. Peter Sylvester was still super in this. Same with Young Psychopath. The downside on this card was it gets stronger or you take a horror.
She like yells at you or whatever.
Yeah, and then it's like Pete is gonna handle this for me.
Pete, your ex is here.
Yeah.
Go get rid of her.
Yeah. I mean, like, Path to Carcosa's like design is it tests your brain and deals horror, which if you haven't picked it up by now, Survivor is really good at both of those things.
Really good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, the next Survivor is like. Sorry, you're telling me I got to take horror?
Yeah. One of those leads to the other one.
Yeah.
Taking horror makes you do brain tests really good.
Kelvin Wright is the investigator that we have all played and all retired once. We've all done that at least once. We retired him in a campaign. Kelvin was interesting. Like, I think he was a very cool design. Like when he first came out, I think like he's very like flashy and like very appealing. But while there was support for his ability to survive, right? Like there was like Peter Sylvester, perseverance in this cycle, all of these things. There wasn't really much of a payoff on his top end, which is then kind of like what am I doing, right? Like what am I actually attempting to accomplish here.
Yeah, he was kind of neat when he first came out, when you were like, I could be good at everything, kind of, in that same way that Duke was, Ashcan Pete. You filled that niche after jumping through some hoops, but over time he's become much worse, I think, because every investigator can get high stats. And the stats that you care about.
And they don't have to do it by killing themselves.
Yeah. You don't have to play this silly little mini game where you're walking Death's Edge and sometimes you just explode. You just get to like play the game and have good stats. And also you get another ability on top of that instead of your stats being your ability. Like most investigators, their ability translates to roughly an action each turn. Kelvin's does not.
Yeah. No, I think there's like some things that like I think if he was looked at today, there would be, I think he would either be like a 7/7 to make his stat ball just like a little bit higher, or I think like alternatively he would start with ones. I don't know what you would do. I think like his thing is just, I think he needs like trauma associated cards, as we talked about on our wish list video on the channel. So
it would have been really neat if they had like printed him with an additional ability that was like, if he played into the desperate archetype really well, where like if you have one remaining sanity when you investigate, you can get an extra clue once per round. If you have one remaining health when you fight, you could do extra damage once per round or something like that. A free vicious blow or deduction each round.
Yeah, I mean, like until the end of time is a very good signature for him. But if he had a signature that wasn't just like more live, he probably would have been more.
Oh, just like as an ability in addition to the stat thing on his card. But yeah.
Yeah, just
I mean, I think he has gotten better as the card pool gets bigger, but not enough. Not as much as everyone else does.
Yes.
All the cards that make him better make other investigators more better.
Yeah, much more gooder.
Yeah.
Even like other blue or like red investigators. This is the color we're talking about.
They're just thinking like, man, I love playing Beat Cop and Yoro.
Beat Cop is sick.
God damn, I love this shit.
Finn Edwards had a Survivor Splash. He could play up to 5 cards. He was a pretty good user of Darkhorse.
Yes.
Yep. And he got better as Darkhorse got better too for that kind of archetype.
Yeah.
A little shout out to our boy Finn, but not too much of a shout out.
Yeah, go back to Rogue Week for that.
Yeah. Perseverance, we talked about. This is the card that kind of just outclassed Devil's Luck. Though it costs 1 more, it's 0 XP, which adds up. You don't have to exile it. It's also a Guts, so it's really good for that.
Fantastic filler card.
Obviously, this was intended here for, like, Kelvin, but turns out it's just good in general.
Yeah, turns out Calvin's not the only investigator who doesn't want to die.
Yeah, it turns out that's kind of like pretty much all of them except for Hank, and then Hank wants to not die.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh God, please.
We have the Impromptu Barrier, Improvised Weapon, and Winging It. This was the improvised cycle of cards, which you could get. They get better when you play them from your discard pile. This worked really well with Ashcan Pete and Wendy, because they could play it first and then fire it out. Over time, especially Improvised Weapon, I think like Impromptu Barrier, I think they're all playable. Like I know you did a Wendy deck where you actually used the Impromptu Barrier to great success. But I think over time, even Improvised Weapon and Winging It started to be applicable options for higher fist and higher book investigators. For example, like Improvised Weapon, when we first played it, like when it first came out, we never looked at it in Mark Harrigan. But now you're just like, this is still just a damage spell that I can use to either play once or also just like discard if the time ever comes.
Yeah, over time it became easier and easier to get more stats, and you weren't concerned about spending resources on getting those stats because you just had them. There was more efficient ways to get them. And so the other thing that you could do to get ahead on the game, instead of like having to spend extra actions to pass tests, you're just passing them, was to get more out of each of those actions, which Wing It and Improvised Weapon do.
Yeah, Improvised Weapon is also like a very strong tech piece. If you know a lot about the type of enemies that are going to show up, like if you're going to have to kill 1 health enemies like Acolytes, you can just spend that first you don't need to have a way to discard the Improvised
100%.
Weapon, and it similarly does a hell of a job if what you have to do is kill a conglomeration of spheres. Because it's worth half its hit points. And you don't fail that test.
100%.
Most of the time.
Yeah, just don't draw the autofill.
Yeah, I mean, like
we take it out.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
We have a separate bag for you.
Yeah. The bag for you has actually 4 of them.
That's why you drew so many as Agatha.
I thought you guys just used the skin pockets.
Well, we do that too. These are what we call the bangers. Sunny Blow we didn't realize right away, but like
Because it's a banger. It's that snake, guys.
This set was actually great for Survivor.
yes, it was.
Like you look
yes.
at that Perseverance, Prompting Berry, Improvised Weapon, Wing It, all playable cards. Live and Learn's great.
No, what have we told you?
Blow's
There's some
Take
more good
Heart's
ones
great.
coming too.
Next
yeah.
slide, all great.
Yeah.
The slide after was playable at the time, kind of not so great now, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live and Learn was opposite lucky, but you were able to trigger it on your thing, so you could still get your like look what I found. Unlucky.
unlucky. If you would pass a test by 2 or less,
Fail
you
it
get
by 2
minus
more
2.
instead.
And then play your look what I
That's
found.
not what that does.
It is not what it does, but it is what it does.
It's not. Okay. You just keep talking about it. I guess.
Yeah, it's like it's the thing where it's like it fills a similar hole to lucky, which allows you to pass a test you want to pass. Just like the downside is you fail first. And most of the time,
That
you would
doesn't
use this
matter.
to like unless there was retaliate or like like you would never use it on a rotting remains. Could you imagine? I think run it back, give it to me again.
I mean, like it depends. It depends if you're trying to like I don't know,
Kelvin
pass
Wright.
some sort of
That's honestly probably part of the reason.
Fulfill some
Yeah.
kind of task where you have to take a
Yeah.
huge amount of brain damage, or like sign me up.
Give me that again.
Yeah. But like also like even just with Take Heart here, the idea is that you can like use Take Heart. I mean, Take Heart was just a very big staple in Survivor decks, and it's still played a lot today.
Yeah, still great.
Because turns out spending an action to like investigate a shroud that you can't pass to just get that instead, or using it during the Mythos phase, or alternatively, if you're Bryn, it's an Elder Sign magnet.
Yeah, they tried printing another level 0 Survivor Economy card that we'll see later, and they were like, "Oh no, never again."
Yeah.
Card's like almost fair. There's just like some stuff around it that. And by around it, I mean in the game.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, it's
If
good
the
if you're
rules
not
of the
thinking
game,
about how it interacts with
yeah,
the
like
game.
if the structure of the game was different.
Yes. Yeah. We have Cornered. This was, I think, a very important card for Survivors, where it made anyone being able to start taking advantage of the discard card that
Anybody
existed.
can be a Wendy,
Yes. Yeah.
Kinda.
sort of.
Wendy
It's-
can be double Wendy.
Wendy can be
Wendy
a,
can actually be 2 Wendys in a trench coat. It's a whole thing.
Open up the trench coat and like her head pops out and you're like, how?
Yeah, it turns out she's just a mask of Nyarlathotep. It's
That sounds right.
That makes
sounds
sense.
right.
Why she can cancel the alpha.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
There wasn't too much support for discard beyond what was here, but there was still enough to get something done. But as the card pool grew, Cornered kind of shrunk. But now with the new cycle, I think Cornered is starting to look really nice again.
Corner
Yeah.
is like
It's always been good. It's
Pretty
always been
good.
good.
We didn't play it too much when it came out, I think, because we were a lot more focused on just like getting. I
I
think
played a lot of Yoro.
we were in our clues and damage are good, and we don't need stats kind of era.
Yeah.
And then we really came to appreciate it. And then it faded off a little bit, and now the stonks are high again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alter Fate is just
Stonks are so high.
really good.
Yeah, it's just it turns out that you can. It's like Ward of Protection,
Yep.
but weird.
Yes. Yeah.
They're like the door's locked, and you're like, no, it isn't.
And it's funny because like
You gotta push.
it's really funny because like you would never want to like Ward of Protection a locked door, right? But you're okay with Alter Fating a locked door.
Yeah.
And I think a big reason for that goes beyond just the card, but if we go back to our little buddy Resourceful, being able
just
to
get it
recur
back.
things
Yeah.
really changes the value of this card. You're like, sure, I'll use it on this because I have it back in my hand now. Yeah.
I think this card's really funny story-wise as well, where you can just like magically change how things are, and like your team is struggling with the locked door, and he's like, "Oh, I can't open it," and you're like, "Are you stupid?" And he's like looking at it, trying to like pull it open or whatever, and you're like, "Are you stupid?" It says push, and he like looks back, and the sign has changed to push, and you just push it open. He's like,
It's just gaslighting the card. Yeah. We have Ornate Bow, which allowed people to fight with their foot. Wendy Adams, very good with this.
Yeah.
Wendy Adams also really liked reloading it with Leo DeLuca. Very nice thing there.
Yeah, also you could just like not fail the shot,
Yep.
which was good because it basically cost 2 actions.
Yeah.
Card also played very well with Ashcan, Pete, and Duke because you could spend instead of having like 1 action to do the 2 damage with Duke, you got 5 damage
Yes.
in a
Yeah.
turn.
Time War Brand, I think a similar thing. It was just like a good weapon to put in the things. Silas also came out right away. We're going to be talking about him. He was a very good user of the
Are we ever not
Time War Brand.
talking about Silas, though?
No.
Always.
Yeah, his shirtless chest and abs are ever present in
Not
Justin's
yet.
mind.
It's true. Always just thinking about
Time War
it.
Brand, fantastically designed neutral card.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Really crushed on that one.
Yeah.
Man, remember when this card was really bad?
Which one?
That's
Which one?
Like right now.
Yeah. So
It hasn't changed. It actually
your
hasn't
own-
changed. So don't.
Yeah.
we never really played on your own for two big reasons. One of them you're probably well aware of, and it's not the guy on the page with him. It's Peter Sylvester was just still so good, especially in the Forgotten Age 2. Like those stats really mattered in the Forgotten
Yeah,
Age.
for a very long time, we like fought over who got the charismas, and you built your deck around who was going to get the charismas and like
Yeah.
what you were spending your experience on, because allies were far and away the most powerful
Asset type.
Yeah.
asset type.
They did like them, and like assets were the strongest card type.
Yeah.
Because they just continued to do their thing turn after turn.
Yep.
Yeah, and like they took damage for you, and the healing sucked, and you didn't have
Yes.
very many other options.
That's a big
for
reason why Peter was also
taking
so good.
damage. Yes, for taking damage that wasn't your allies,
Yeah.
so they were a huge part of your deck.
Yeah. The other big reason was there's not a lot of Survivor events that you want to be playing that cost two or
Still
more.
isn't.
Yeah, and it's still kind of the case. Like there are more, but still
It's a third reason too, where you
have to find it.
have to
Get it.
find this, and Survivor does not draw cards.
No.
That is
No.
decidedly not part of their identity at this point of the design.
Yeah, because if you look at it, we've only seen two card draw cards. One was Lucky Rabbit's Foot, which is fine drip draw.
Yep.
And then we have the Take Heart,
Heart.
which is still good, but not nearly to the level of some of the other
Yeah,
classes.
but
we're able to
we
do.
don't even see like nothing left to lose till Dream Eaters.
Yeah.
We
We do see a great one in the next cycle, but we'll get that
great
when we get
is an
there.
understatement.
Yaddle, should
cool.
he's cool, but this motherfucker should have counted wild icons.
Yeah. He was
mean,
also
the-
one of the. Go ahead, Bryn.
Sorry, he just like lives next door to Cool. He's like, I can hear the party from my
Yes.
house.
Yeah.
I was not invited to the party.
I mean, I think they did such a great job with the subtitles of both him and Aquina, which just kind of implies that they're kind of just like forgotten or lost. And yeah.
yeah, he's like almost good.
Yes.
Yeah, like he did get us excited when he came out. He was one of the few. Both these cards
I
were
think
like.
you and I both played them.
Yeah, both these cards were their own archetypes, which wasn't something they were build-arounds, which wasn't something we'd seen too much of up to this point. Where you even if you had things like scavenging, they were a means to an ends, whereas
Yep.
these were like their own. You were like, I'm playing an on your own deck. I'm playing a Yaddle deck.
And Yaddle also existed. We played him. We tried him out in that aforementioned Ashcan Pete Desperate deck with the fantasy of I can do this, and then
He
I
was
also can
pretty
trigger it
okay.
there. Yeah. Forgotten Age campaign. Look at this. All these enemies. So Fang of Yig I have here. Well, I guess let's start with the Pit Viper. We're getting poisoned for the survivors. I mean, it sucks for everybody, but like the Fang of Yig shutting off skill cards was still a way that survivors consistently committed their overpowers to get things done, or their like manual decks. So like getting poisoned kind of sucked for that. Also, the Brotherhood cult is here because you're 100% right, Travis. Enemies were the issue for survivors, and if they had to attack this thing 2 or 3 times, suddenly they just can't.
5 is a big number.
Yeah.
I can't remember what we were playing Forgotten Age for. I can't remember what Investigator I was playing, but I can remember being like, why can't I commit my fucking skills when I'm engaged with the Fang of Yig and I'm like, someone help me, damn it.
Yeah, Fang of Yig is not a problem until suddenly he's the
Until it is.
biggest problem in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember why it came about, but I do remember Brotherhood cultist being called like the milkshake guy or something like that.
I don't remember that.
But I don't know why. I don't remember why we.
I don't remember that either. I remember Ice
That's
Milk,
fucked
but
up.
I don't remember the Milkshake guy.
Okay, yeah.
No, but
alright.
I just know we have a lot of, like, Brotherhood Cultist, he's a lot more manageable now. There's a lot more tools for him. But
There's
this
a lot
guy...
more ways to do 3 damage
Yeah.
as well.
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, when you had to attack this guy 2 or 3 times, and if you
missed
like,
one
God
of them.
forbid you missed.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll just lose 2 rounds.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine.
Just lose
Anyway.
18 actions. He's the guy.
It's the guy. So before...
Why did you use the book front and the actual card back?
Oh, just because there's no there was no easy to find JPEG of that
okay.
one. Yeah.
Because this is a much more attractive Silas than this Silas.
It is, yeah.
Speak for yourself.
I like the action pose of this one. But also, yeah, the back text is the same for the book Investigators.
Unless you are the guy currently engaged with the deep one that he is killing.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
which case, like,
Hung,
nothing's ever looked better in my life.
So I never really, like, Silas I enjoyed, but I mostly just enjoyed it because it looked like James, right? At least James circa 2007, right? No, 2009. But he was such a big... I love this guy, and he was my favorite, and he's been my favorite since I've played him. I love skill slinging. I loved it back then. I love it now. And he was just like such a good skill slinger. He was totally fine when he first came out. There weren't too many crazy things you could do with him. When we get to his actual release, Silas started to be able to have those weird problems that survivors seem to have.
Why do the rules work this way?
Yes.
Yeah, back when he was released, he played very much like he was kind of the survivor embodied. You were very scrappy. You had garbage weapons. You had garbage ways to get clues, but you did them anyway.
Yeah. And also, nautical prowess, fun little fact, actually works pretty much exactly like Unrelenting. And I feel like if Unrelenting worked like nautical prowess, but it was just like one card, it would be a lot less of a frustration to like watch people play or actually even have to play yourself. Just saying. All right, we got to return to the...
Even if that card just said, like, if a blessed token is revealed during,
Yes.
like, cancel it, return it to the bag and reveal a different token.
Yeah,
Like,
just something like that. But having to, like...
like, having to mechanically go through, like...
Yeah, reach into the bag,
Just kind of a mess.
Return to core set. We got an upgraded Rabbit's Foot, which now the amount that you fail by, you can look at that many cards. I'm pretty sure now we can say that this was kind of like a signpost to a certain card that was going to be coming out in the next cycle that made you fail by more, like make the test harder to eventually get more value out of. I think overall, most of the time we still just played with the level 0 version because...
Yeah, I think the only time I've ever seen either of you play with the upgraded one is the one time that I made you play a deck. It was one of the White Elephant exchanges. And I was like, you play with this in a Stella deck because you don't believe me that that Stella is broken.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever playing with this, but I played a lot of Arkham or the Pandemic. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
Yeah. No, it was just kind of like... one card is kind of equal to 3 in this case. It's not the same with like... The big thing with Lucky Cigarette Case 3 was that there is like no ceiling on this one. This one usually has a ceiling of 3 to 4, which while still good, is a lot...
Even without the ceiling, I think the biggest difference between them is that the Lucky Cigarette Case rewards you for passing a test by a lot and then pushes you into doing that again the next turn.
Yeah.
Whereas you have and you're like actively advancing the game while you do that.
Yes.
Using this one, you're not necessarily advancing the game, and getting the card, like in theory, helps you not do this again.
Yeah. And I think also realistically at this point now, even by Circle Undone, we were playing Lucky Rabbit's Foot less as well because we were also just like looking to fail less than
Mr.
compared to another
Potterson
person.
was the thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like also like Lucky Cigarette Case. So like Wendy's looking to do that now instead.
Wendy's like, I smoke cigarettes now.
Yeah, and Ashcan Pete, I mean...
You're 8.
Yeah, I mean, like, so? And like, even like Ashcan Pete now was also looking at
prison.
like Holy Rosary. Like he was still doing that, right?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, Wendy's like, it's the 20s. This is good for me.
Probably.
We then going to go to Return to Dunage Legacy, where we saw an upgraded Oops that...
it's like almost
playable.
Yep.
Yeah.
So good job on that one.
Yeah. And then we had an upgraded Rise to the Occasion, which also I think is a fine upgrade for that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I think the main downside to this one is that almost anyone who would want to play it does not have access to it because it is not a level 2 red card.
Yep. Yeah, I think those are both actually really well designed upgrades, and they're just not quite strong enough to compete with some of the other stuff, but that's not really their fault. It's more the fault of the cards that they were upgraded from.
Yep.
Yeah,
like they started too low. But
base Rise is like good. It's fine. If that's like what you want, it does pretty much the same thing as this one, but for 0 XP instead of 3.
And
I can't tell you exactly what this card does off the top of my head, but it's 3 experience, so I refuse to believe that it does the same as
upgrade
level 0.
it. So it is like pretty much the same. Level 0 is like 3 wild icons if you are 2 or more.
So you get +1.
Like down.
Yeah.
Right? This one is 2 wild icons and like difference between your skill value.
To a maximum of 3, so you can go up to 5. So you can go up
If
to 5.
you're down 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're down 3, so you just end up 2 instead of up 1.
And
for 3 XP.
I do think that Rise to the Occasion.
Kind of dog shit.
Yeah, it's like really not good.
Should be like 1 experience.
Like this card would be fine if like
Oh no, it's your base
if it were
skill value,
splashable,
so you can like commit other things to it.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So you can
That's the upside to it, okay.
like throw this at like a really hard fight test. Like maybe you want to punch a mindless dancer so hard it explodes.
Brutally
But-
fist him.
I did not
Maybe,
say
and
that.
what you're Wendy. You wanna?
Yeah. Right? He's like, what's this kid gonna do? Punch me in the mouth? And the kid's
And
like,
then the kid does it. And you're like, oh,
does
fuck.
like a Goku powering up sequence.
And just punches a hole clean through
Yeah,
the mindless
just like-
dancer, and they're like, "Oh my god!"
I think that also this Rise to the Occasion card just kind of shows the Kelvin Wright problem, where most of the cards he wants to play is still just number bigger, right?
Yeah, it doesn't help a whole lot.
All right, it's our first slide change break. See you in 1 second. On to Rita Young, the first investigator from the Circle Undone, who we talked about previously. She is here to evade. 2 things that were very important to know for the context of Rita when she first came out. 1, she was kind of ass. She was just like, there was just missing those like pieces that really, she was big ass.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a runner thing.
I don't know. It's supposed to be like sleek and lithe.
Big
like,
legs though.
Like
Big legs.
like a jaguar or something.
I wish.
Yeah, but like big legs.
Yeah.
Smaller upper body, but like.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was missing pieces that.
Like those things that you punch and they, like bob back up.
Yes, exactly that. She was missing some pieces that kind of just made her do things. She did get a lot of pieces later on. The other thing about Rita is that, you know how Travis talked about, remember those signature weaknesses that actually like did something? They were like, we got to get that for Rita.
Yeah, everybody else is like, my signature weakness is like, I can't find my keys. And she's like, racists are trying to kill me.
Yeah, Rick's like, there's a fly in my beer. And Rita's like, they have weapons. They have weapons and they're trying to murder me.
So even if you see hooded men with torches and guns, you did not see me.
And like they were just like so oppressive that like playing her, I think when she first came out, was actively detrimental for the
It
team.
was like not great.
She had pretty solid level 0 cards because she had track shoes. She had Evade, Belly of the Beast was pretty okay.
Yeah.
I think what she really suffered from actually was the higher level slots getting taken up by the dual class cards.
Yeah.
Because neither of them really supported her playstyle at all, and so she didn't get any. She couldn't never to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I also think,
this we also got like book Carolyn here.
Yes.
Like we got a weakness that's pretty tough, and then our
signature is
signature is like, I'm done running, and they're like, we have guns, and you're like, fuck, shit, so bad.
Can you run a bullet? No.
Yeah. I think another thing too is that because she is skews slightly towards combat, there wasn't really like there was Fire Axe, which was still good, but it wasn't like great against everything that came. So when she got more things that made fighting easier and her ability easier to proc, she got better because of that.
And there is like we do just get like a ton of evade tribal stuff in future releases here.
Yeah,
And
as evade,
a lot of them are like,
green
this is
cards.
technically a green card, but it's a trick.
Yep. Yeah, evade has just gotten like better as the game has gone.
Yep.
There's also Preston Fairmont here, who is the Survivor Splash rogue.
He's the primo turkey thrower.
Yes, he throws a turkey like nobody else. And I also think he plays a very good... I think he's like Agnes. I think he really does the Survivor Splash very well. Because he can like play Darkhorse. Like, you would think that going from 1 to 2 is like...
It's a 100% increase, but
it's still not much. But like, he's really good at using the Fire Axe because he gets money each turn. And he's really also good at using the Mariner's Compass for the same reason.
Yeah, you actually just have like your +6 from the Fire Axe or your +3 from the Mariner's Compass every time you use it.
And he's kind of like Kelvin Wright, where he can take all those things that boost his stats, but then, as Travis said, have ability on top of that.
Yeah, he actually does a thing.
Yeah. And then we also had Marie Lambeau, who, like Finn, can tap into 5 Survivor cards.
We don't like her.
So like I approve of her a little bit more, having played her and like noticing how attractive Baron Samdi is. Yes, I would like to destroy my chance of winning this game.
Have you just been bandwagon ripping on Marie Lambeau for years without having played her?
No, like she's actually terrible. She's actually terrible.
Because that would be really funny.
I'm just saying that, like, I get it now. Yeah. I understand why she's trying to derail my chances of winning this game.
That's why I give access to red cards, so you don't just get obliterated.
Yeah, when it shows up.
Samdi.
Yeah. All right, we got Meat Cleaver as another weapon option, which we called Pete Cleaver for the longest time because
it works real good.
It works really good with Pete to take that drift horror.
Yeah.
Track Shoes, I think, is a very important card for the Survivor class. Because it... So I think that actually Survivor's biggest weakness, and we're going to touch on this in some campaigns coming up, is movement. Most other classes have some form of movement compression that they're able to take advantage of. Survivors, unless they can splash into it, at this point now only have Track Shoes, right?
Or you are Duke.
You are Duke, yeah. Duke's the other one, yeah. So it's like one of those things where being able to move 2 locations can mean quite a bit for the Survivor class.
Like bait and switch.
Like, that was there. Yeah. I mean, that's actually like a perfect example of what you talked about earlier, where like great high end, but like useless 90% of the time.
Yes, but when it's good, man, it's good.
Yeah. Then there was Active Desperation, which I do think we also... I think a big reason why we didn't really notice this card at first is because I played Rita when it first came out, and Rita wasn't really looking at doing this. And then over time, we were like, wait a minute.
We played it in Mark.
Yes, like, it's a tactic, right? Card's actually insane. Like, I think this is like crazy pushed for a level 0 card.
Ridiculous.
And it's also why I'm kind of glad rotation exists.
This card also could easily be too experienced.
Yes, yeah.
I wouldn't mind that if that meant that like the other one, the book one, we also got an upgraded one that did like something like this.
Yep.
Because the level 0 one is like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could make so much money with this card without even... You didn't have to change what you were trying to do at all.
And you could have just like also...
I used all my bullets and throw my gun at that guy.
Yep. And you can kill it. And I mean, even like it is functional... Also is functional with like a flashlight for a lot of people too, right?
Yeah, +2 is fine.
Yep. Crazy card. Here are our multi-class cards that upgraded. I will just say, everyone, and I think this was very fair, Travis did not include the level 0 Grizzly Totem. I added it just for the synergy of all the videos and the cards here, because level 0 Grizzly Totem kind of just does nothing.
Honestly, I probably shouldn't have included either of them.
So the upgraded one is like kind of cracked with the like when you fail skills. Because you can just be like, when I fail, I failed.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to use this on this skill even though it doesn't have any symbols for me to replicate.
And I actually think it's fair to include, not in the context of our history, but there actually is a combo that already exists here, as Bryn was saying. We have Drawing Thin, we have Take Heart, we have Track Shoes. That's a thing that you could just loop Take Heart forever that already existed just within these cycles and Forgotten Age. So we never did it, but it did exist as a combo you could do.
Yeah. I think I like this kind of multicolor more than
the Edge of the Earth
one.
Yeah.
Where we get like a multicolor level 0 and then 2 differently specialized
it is very
upgrades
fun.
out of it.
Yes.
I think that's a lot cooler.
I think it also...
And this is a big dumb hammer.
Yeah, I think it also feels multi-class more because... the level 0, like they don't have to swing as big. They can get more into the class identity upgrades when they're actually in that class. Because for the most part, all the level 0 cards fit, well, at least for this cycle, all fit within those 2 classes really well.
I also really liked how they did, like the artwork was slightly different.
Yes.
Like for the Tennessee Sour Mash, like the green upgrade, it was a more expensive whiskey.
Yeah.
The red upgrade, there's more whiskey in the bottle.
Yeah.
It's just more stuff.
Yeah, but it's crappy whiskey.
It's like not as good.
Yeah, the feathers on the Grizzly Totem are white.
Yep.
Yeah. I like that.
But yeah, no, I also like the story it tells where you have this Grizzly Totem, which is something that both survivors and seekers would be interested in, and then depending on which way you're upgrading it, shows your characters, like they've learned how to use it for their ends.
Yeah, 100%. That is really cool. So do more of those. Those are great.
I think they're I think they're really fun.
I also think it takes up less space as a whole, which is good.
Yeah, they're also better design them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also don't run as much of the risk of like accidentally giving someone something that's really strong that they shouldn't have access to, because the level 0 version does not have to be really strong. It's a level 0 card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Travis, here's our mistake slide.
Yeah, you figured it out.
What about Drawing Thin?
So Drawing Fin, this is the economy card that I referenced a few minutes ago. That is way too good at level 0 because you can just have 2 of them in play. You can stack them on the same test. And you also have to spend action on it if you have track shoes, which was the big thing. You would play track shoes, you play your 2 Drawing Thins, and you would move, and then you didn't actually want to move a second time, but you'd make the track shoes test anyway. You fail it because it's 7. And then your move action also became, I get 4 resources, or I get 2 resources as a card, or I get 2 cards.
Which is crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you also like
sometimes if you had a Lucky Rabbit's Foot,
like
the upgraded one, you'd be like, 7 is impossible. I guess I'll look at the top 5 cards.
Yeah, I don't know. This one was just like...
This was, I think, one of the quickest taboos.
Yeah, I really not sure that one made that development. Like, it doesn't take up a slot. It doesn't cost anything to play. It's not limit 1 per investigator. There's no downside to, like, additional downside to failing the test or anything. It just... They're like, oh, people won't like failing tests. And you're like, I don't care if I get 4 resources. That's so much better. Like, there's so many inconsequential tests you can take. Even if you don't have the track shoes, being able to spend an action to just, you're like, I'll investigate. Oh, no, I failed. Like, who cares? And if you pass, you're like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because you still get the card and the resource if you pass.
Yep. Yeah, I think we saw this today. Even if it's XP, would probably be limit, I think.
Even if this card was just like, if you pass the test.
Yeah.
Then it would be fair.
Yeah. 5 of Pentacles was the Survivor Tarot. And as we always say, you can play it in Kelvin, but as we learned, more stats doesn't really do much.
It doesn't help.
Especially those ones.
And now for people at home, Eucatastrophe, what do you think the mistake was here? That's right. It does not remove itself from the game. Which means that with Resourceful, and let's say, for example, Silas Marsh, you could loop this forever. Yeah, you have to find a way to pay for it. If only there was a card, Travis, that gave you 2 resources for taking a test. Do you think there's a card that does that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is.
I think there's one that gives you a 4.
Yeah, that's true.
And the downside is that you might fail the test.
Yeah, who knows, huh? Who knows?
If only there was a way for you to not fail the test ever.
Yep. It's Eucatastrophe has been taboo to remove from the game, and in all fairness, after Innsmouth, I like that. I think the current design team is very good at noting which cards should remove from the game.
They're much better at that, yes.
Yeah, because Eucatastrophe was...
Yeah, this one and like the next cycle were a really big learning experience, because then I think it was...
And even into Innsmouth too, I think.
Yeah, when we hit Innsmouth, they were that's when they did their big, like, hey, we're actually going to taboo all these to remove themselves from the game.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
On to the Circle Undone campaign. I think that this was actually a very cool campaign because we started to actually see survivors get challenged in the form of Haunted, where survivors love to win by failing. The locations are like, yeah, but what if I retaliate?
I also win when you fail.
Yeah, right. So very good for dealing with them there.
Yeah, I think this was actually, I think this was a really neat cycle for the survivors too, where the things that it punished you for being bad at the things you were bad at, but also reward you for being good at the things your investigators were inherently good at. The brain tests were important to make.
Yep.
And the Spectral Watcher, being able to evade that every turn.
Yep, huge.
Good place to be.
So as somebody who usually plays guys who dump stat brain, Realm of Torment is not a reward. Yeah. Not being imprisoned in a Realm of Torment is not a reward unless you are in a terribly abusive relationship. Like, oh my god.
I don't know. I love it when you're in a Realm of Torment.
I also think it's really funny. But like, you just sign up with I'll play 1 brain investigator, and then you like draw the Realm of Torment, and you're like, oh yeah.
Anyway, I'm never leaving this bedroom alive.
Yeah, you're like, I'm never playing a 1 brain investigator through this again. Next time you're like, I'll play Finn.
Yeah.
In my defense, I've never done that specific thing.
Yeah. We should run Circle and Done again.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, I'll play Finn.
I also included the Wraith here to show just that they don't have spells or relics that could kill things consistently.
At this
So,
point.
yeah. And then Sentries of Secret is here because, believe it or not, Peter Sylvester was still the ally of choice, and this card just says kill Peter Sylvester. So it was always scary when it showed up. Yeah. Also really bad against Duke. Because if you just, like, kill him over time, he's like, why are you doing this, Master? He's like, dude, ask Arkham. We got to return to Path of Carcosa, and thank God they upgraded Gravedigger, Shovel, and Lantern.
I mean, these are actually pretty okay upgrades.
Yeah, they were like fine before. These ones are like kind of goated.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are like they're in a similar
They don't
place.
exile.
They don't exile,
They just
they
remove
remove.
from
Yep.
the game.
It would have been. They should have been one XP in exile.
I agree.
Probably.
They
That
probably
would've been
should have
really
been exile because
Yeah.
exile could use some cards that you might ever want to rebuy.
Yep.
Not for like power reasons or anything like that. I just think that would be a cooler place
Yeah.
for them to be. But yeah,
But these cards are very good. They like commit for 2 matching icons, and then like the action ability becomes much more reasonable when you do not have to pay 2 to put the asset into play, and then a second action to throw it away. You still have to pay the second action, but 1 is a lot easier than 2,
Yep.
yeah.
especially if you're like a Darkhorse.
Yep. And the Lantern's really nice, too, because when the bottom half is bigger, the top half feels more impactful. I think that's less true with the Gravedigger Shovel, just because still that no damage boost is a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
still,
like,
plus
two-
2 is still
2
fine.
testless clues is like pretty
It is
big,
very
though.
good, yeah.
Yeah, and
But-
because that like sort of the way that the enemies are like an immediate problem, you need a solution to now, whereas clues are one you can get over time. Being able to get clues slowly with the lantern and then have an immediate response in an emergency to an enemy feels better than the other way around.
Yeah. But I think they're both, like, especially also then, like, with recursion as well. Like, say, for example, Scavenging 2. Do you think they're ever going to do that? Do you think they're going to make a sequel to Scavenging?
Probably not. That card's good enough as it is.
Sequel nobody wanted and no one asked for.
Yeah.
I will say, I think that the survivor cards are the ones they did the best upgrades for in the return to. Return
I think
to.
that's
Like
fair.
they're not the strongest cards, but man, did they ever like just nail the upgrades.
Yep. All right, on to the Dream Eaters with Patrice Hathaway, which was another funky survivor investigator. I can imagine that, like, you know, where they designed Preston Fairmont, and they were like, what if we do that with cards? And they're like, yes, let's do it with cards. And Patrice Hathaway was born, and Patrice Hathaway is an awesome investigator. She's very fun to play. She's very fun to watch people play, and she feels like the perfect power level for what her ability is, right?
Yeah, she's very well designed.
Yeah, it's a very, very good investigator with a very good signature and a very good signature weakness as well.
She's a great marriage between that survivor and mystic splash in the same way that, but like feels just not even in the same consideration as Agnes.
Yep.
Like they have almost nothing in common besides the fact that they can both play red and purple Zero 2.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, she's great. She works with discard really well. Like in Cornered, she would also like love Cornered. This is when Cornered start to come back because we're like, wait a minute, that's really good with Patrice. You know, because her cards are a resource.
And Patrice's release also was very important for our development as players of this game and deck builders, because her release kind of triggered a bit of a... When we were looking at building Patrice decks, one of the cards that came within, I don't remember the specifics of like who was playing the deck and stuff, but one of the cards that came into our sites was Quantum Flux, which was a card that we had dismissed as being garbage, because it kind of was.
I played that card in green, purple. Later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Safina.
Safina, a couple
Yeah.
Safina decks,
Because
but
some decks, what if... Not my weakness right now.
Yeah.
yeah, no, like,
And I
that's
mean,
fair,
it carries over
Which
to Patrice
is
as
true
well.
here too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true most of the places that you might want to play that card.
Yeah, this was also a period in our like sort of Arkham careers where we started instead of just playing with the newest cards and focusing a lot on them and how the characters interact with the cards in their set, we started like reevaluating old investigators and old cards a lot
Yes.
more, I think.
Yeah, and this is all actually that you're 100% right, because right after Dream Eaters is when we did like we were aiming to do our first tier list as well. We actually started to talk in depth about the game additionally. Because yeah, I agree. You're 100% right.
Yeah, that Quantum Flux was really kind of a tipping point for us in our discussion and evaluation of things.
And I mean, I think that's such a true thing of Arkham. Like, even like looking at Lure today, right? Like, we all agree Lure is not a great card, but situationally can be very good. And I think that there's so many factors with Arkham, and like, to just evaluate the cards. It's not just like good, bad, like all the time. Like you can generally good, bad, but there's so many like asterisks and caveats on all those things.
Yeah, it was one of those moments like when we realized you could put lightning bolts in any lightning bolt during tests or during the outside the Mythos phase. It was like, oh my god.
Before you commit cards, after you commit cards, whatever the before
Basically
enemies move during Hunter. Afterwards,
we have two investigators that
you want.
do not need a caveat on that they are good. We have Mandy Thompson, who can play Survivor.
Sure.
It's probably the least played of the three of us at the table.
It really doesn't even matter, though.
What can she do with it?
You don't get a ton out of it. You get, like, from this cycle anyway, you get, like, or you get the extra clue cards. You get Sharp Vision. You get Contemplative.
Sure.
So you get extra deduction. Yeah, I mean, like, the extra clue cards. I mean,
you got me.
You also get the event, the Myriad event.
Yeah. I mean, which is also honestly actually pretty good with the Taboo full deck size. Just more deduction probably means more win.
Yeah, and she actually plays the that one pretty well because she also plays Cat. She can't play Cat because it's an asset. She's the investigator who's intended to play Myriad cards.
Yes.
Right. A lot of them are designed for her because she can dig them out easily.
Yeah. There's also Tony Morgan, who I think plays a fantastic Survivor as well. I think there's a lot of, like, Stunning Blow is very good with him. Brute Force is really good with him. Right.
You just show up with you don't have to play any of your splash cards. You can just show up with a mono green deck and he plays a fantastic Survivor splash.
Which splash did you pick? Splash?
Yeah.
I have a Lucky in my deck.
It is why Tony Morgan is just
like
so good.
Perseverance is really good here because he is like a 9/5 is like
with the 2 brain. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So like you do get a lot of added utility out of the.
You might get got.
Hey, I won't die.
Yeah.
This time.
Fucking throw gun card that we
Act of Desperation is very good with him as well.
Good with
Act of Desperation is probably like
Brick?
a good reason. Brick. Yep. Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff. Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, on to some actual player cards here. Jessica Hyde is Damage Peter Sylvester. Also, like, still very good, but more fair than Peter Sylvester.
Comes into play and
really met in the middle on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he was printed today, Pete would probably be this, but with book.
Yeah.
And not Pete. He'd be a different character, I imagine.
Yeah, his name's Steve.
Yeah. I also think that he wouldn't have given the 2 stats. I think this 2 stats was such a that was a big whoopsie of its time.
Yeah, that was a weird choice, especially considering how much they valued stats back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get like, hey, Brain isn't good unless you are purple.
Yep.
Like, fair enough.
But it turns out Brain is also like good if you aren't purple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Russ, you back here to cause more chaos?
You don't want it, but you need it.
Yeah, the backpack's just calling his name.
Yeah.
We did get a sequel to Scavenging. What? Scavenging. It now makes the item you can play it by paying its cost, which turns out, while not necessary, does a really good job of now your recursion is action compression, which can be very good.
At the time when this came out, this was very whatever.
Yeah.
Because we were like, I don't want to play it. I want to have it in my hand so I can commit it for my 2 books or whatever again.
I think this was the tipping point, right? Because at this point it was mostly still grabbing newspaper, right? Like it was mostly still just like using it for skill value.
And I think like the really big tipping point was Edge of the Earth.
Yes. Yeah.
Which we'll discuss when we get to there, but like this is a big part of why it's so problematic now.
Scrounge for Supplies is probably the only like fair recursion card that exists in like the Survivor card pool, not counting investigators, because it's limited and you usually end up upgrading out of it, comparing it to Scavenging and Resourceful, which you can do really gross things with it. But
Shrine of the Moira is like so close to being fair.
It is, yeah.
If it removed itself after being discarded or something, that would be good, but no. You gotta be able to recur our recursion.
I love recurring recursion. But yeah, no, it's a good card, and it was a nice card too. It was one of our things that we included in our like staple Survivor cards, one of the 3.
I really like that card. It's very well designed.
Yep. We got Nightmare Bauble, which was a cool alternative to the accessory slot for the Survivor class.
Hey.
So
Russell, we're trying to record a video, and I'm talking about Nightmare Bauble, which you currently are.
Which you currently are.
But yeah, no, this was a great card to like have an alternative to the accessory slot. And being able to just cancel autofill tokens was very good. And one thing that one of our patrons had to learn was just use it when it shows up. Don't try to wait for the perfect autofail. Just use it when it shows up. We also got Nothing Left to Lose here, which is a very nice economy card. It basically just restarts your to the opening state of the game, which is really
this
nice.
card. I thought this card was absolutely insane when it came out. I was very happy to see you removed from the game on it, and I don't know, it's not that good, but like it's. I would definitely overestimate at the time, but it's still like a very good card.
Yeah, still very, very nice to have. And then we got these three. Brutal Fisting, Amanda Sharp Vision, and Expeditious Retreat.
And the other one, yeah. No, these cards are so well designed.
Yes.
Like, they really crush it on these ones.
These cards, like, Brute Force is especially, like, combat staple. If you're running a deck, you're going to be wanting to play Brute Force. Sharp Vision, I think, has gotten less so, especially now with Contemplative existing, but at its time, it was an easy include. And Expeditious Retreat is very good for enemy-heavy campaigns, which is super hype.
Yep.
However, you might notice their traits are innate, which they worked really well with True Survivor. And they also were just now kind of the thing you resourceful back. Because Brute Force, 3 damage on a skill, like, yeah, you have to do a basic fight. Yeah, you have to succeed by 2. But it turns out that's actually pretty easy to manage.
Especially if the person doing the test isn't you and they're like Mark or Tony and they have 5 Fist.
Or alternatively, even like the 2 that you were working with this was Will York, who already had a beat cop in play, so he was also 5 Fist. Or you were Silas Marsh, where if you failed it, you could pull it back and try again.
Yeah, like ultimately these cards aren't super powerful for the experience when you're looking at them, and they're, you know, oh yeah, you get your +2 Fist, you do +1 damage, which you can get from Vicious Blow at level 1. You get +2 Fist for it, or you get +3 Fist, which Vicious Blow only gives you 1, but you have to succeed by 2 to get the damage, so it's basically Vicious Blow that you're paying 1 for. But the real power of these is like the flexibility in them, where you don't always get the Vicious Blow, but you are very likely to get the damage. You don't always get the extra clue, but you're very likely to get a clue. And if you're in safer condition, like if there's someone with you, then like you're gonna, like I said, if you have like a Mark or a Mandy with you, you're gonna get the 2 damage with 2 clues.
Yeah.
But
Additionally, too, a big thing that also made them just better was that Bryn's joining the guy. Was that you're not playing these cards once, like especially as the thing grew and resourceful became more of a thing. You were playing these cards multiple times in a scenario.
Yeah, you're paying the experience to have that flexibility, and also, like, honestly, these are probably worth 2 experience because you get the flexibility in what they can do. You get them in a class that aren't normally able to do it, and you also get the cards have a red color.
Yeah.
And the little bird in the corner.
Yeah.
Which is, Survivors on resourceful alone makes you care about what class.
Yes.
Like, makes being a survivor card a great thing.
Yep.
And no other class really has that.
No. All right. We have Miss Doyle, who was a fun little ally to play.
Everyone loves her.
Yep. Played her in Patrice. She's fun in Patrice. Russell, come on the table. You can come on the table. Look, Russ, it's Miss Doyle, your favorite.
There's 4 cats on the screen. And none of them are you.
No, he actually is in the corner. He's in the Bryn seat.
Yeah. Okay, there's 5 cats on the screen, and one of them is you.
No. But yeah, Miss Doyle, she's fun, she's cool, and she's enjoyable to play. There's not much. It was a nice ally, and it was a cool exploration of like the myriad bonded. There's 3 of them.
Yeah.
But like it works like that.
Everyone's played Miss Doyle. Everyone's had a good time playing Miss Doyle, I think. And she's not something you're like, oh, I'm gonna play her every campaign. You pull it out once in a while, and you're like, yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah.
Another very well designed card.
Honestly, probably really good in George Barnaby as well, because what isn't?
Yeah.
Dream Eaters! Look, I got a Gug!
But before we talk about it, let's go back to your George Barnaby remark. Like, yeah, everything is good in him because once again, It's like the Seeker's Flash that we talked about last time we were talking about something, is that he is like the base of the pyramid himself.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what else you're doing. The same reason that Mark's good, the same reason that Mandy's good. They hold up whatever stupid garbage you're gonna. It doesn't matter what kind of crap you're building on top of it. It's built with like toothpicks and dental floss and like glue sticks or whatever, because your base is like rock solid.
However, the other thing I think even on top of that, what makes it even more of a thing is that all the discard cards are good. So it's like, even if like,
I bet I can't think of any right now, but I'm sure there's some that are bad and we just don't think about them.
I don't know, they all seem like, it's like, because when you make discard a cost, and then like you cut that downside.
Mitigating costs is good.
Yeah, turns out, right? Okay, so Lumbering Gug and Cats from Saturn, because evading is good. And then, right, once again, Dream Eaters I don't think is particularly challenging for like any class. It's a pretty straightforward campaign. So these are just cards that are cool and survivors enjoy seeing. Yeah. Okay. On to the Return to Forgotten Age. We got two notable cards here. One of them is an On Your Own, which is now permanent. So you can actually just like have it in play, which mitigates that issue that Travis talked about earlier. And then we have Backpack 2, which allows you to find items and supplies, searching 12.
I can't even count that many.
No. Stops here.
Yeah.
Stops here.
Have to take a sock off.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I don't have any toes. Yeah.
Any toes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't do that unless
free.
I was being paid.
Yeah, exactly,
you know?
right? Yeah.
Like, if you want to see my feet on the internet, that's going to cost you money.
It's only fair.
But if you do, let us know.
Yes.
Like, actually, though.
Yeah, send us an email.
Yeah, we can.
If I do, I'm going to get too scared and I'm going to block you, so
We're gonna work
please
some
don't. All right. We then got Stella Clark from the Investigator starter decks, which gave some great cards for the Survivor class and a very strong Investigator. And a big reason for this was her signature, which you get 3 copies of. It's innate, and it also has a little
red,
bird in the
hey?
corner.
What?
Yeah.
Oh. No way, that could be a problem.
Yeah. So it's like one of those things that, I mean, I think Stella's a very good survivor. I think she's a little bit too pushed. She didn't need to have 8/8,
Just a
right?
little bit. Like, I think if she has 8/8, but she only has like 1 neither rain nor snow, or if neither
Yes.
rain nor snow, instead of giving 3 wild, gives like 1 negative wild.
Yeah.
Or if it wasn't a survivor card.
Yep.
Or
Wasn't
it
this-
wasn't an
Yeah,
eight.
yeah, right. Like there's like 100 different little dials that we could
Yes.
like adjust here.
Yeah. Her stat line and her ability are all fair, but yeah, it's just like all
Yeah.
that other stuff.
Like the innate tankiness of being 8/8 is like
It's so good. It's gives you so much just like room to breathe.
yeah. Right.
And then,
it's
like-
real tough for the game to pressure you in a meaningful way.
And then like her signature weakness doesn't really do too much. Like you can just like get rid of it or just tank it up depending on when you draw it, which I think is never a good sign. I feel like you always want to get rid of your weakness if it's there.
Yeah. Like
No, I just keep playing and ignore it.
like if you draw your weakness and you're not like those other ones, like, oh, there's a fly in my beer. Like, no, your weakness should be like racists are trying to kill me.
Yes, 100%, 100%.
Like, this is a problem I need to solve now.
Yep.
Not a problem that I can I'll order another beer.
Or you're like,
It's
my
okay.
parents are both dead
Yes.
and
Yeah.
left me forever, or
They're not
I'm
both
trying-
dead. Her dad is alive in a Russian prison.
Okay, well, he
Good, he's dead.
abandoned her.
He's dead.
He's dead, or have abandoned you, or like, I'm trying to cover up a massive government screw up from everyone.
Or like I did some dark magic and I'm putting doom on the agenda.
Yeah, right. Like it doesn't necessarily need to be
Hi.
related to racists, but
But it has to be that
like
level.
it should be a problem that you need to solve. Like
But my stories come to life.
No.
I accidentally wrote the apocalypse.
yeah.
My
like,
bad.
All right, in here we got the 18 Derringer, which was a really nice weapon for the Survivor class to be able to start doing stuff with. The level 2 version is a very nice upgrade. It's cheaper, it's more damage, and it's like more reliability.
Yeah, it's more bullets.
Right, you might be right.
We have Old Keyring 0, which was also a very nice card for the Survivor class, and this is when we started to see some really big scavenging issues pop up.
Yeah.
Because Old Keyring discards itself. Russ, do you want my chair? Would that make you happy?
Yeah, that's like a really weird choice, actually. Like, no other... It makes you wonder why they did that, you know?
Yep. Well, it's because of scavenging, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for survival recursion in general.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, you just...
I mean, so like old keyring really wouldn't even need to
Then why
discard
didn't the
itself
Derringer do it?
because it takes up a hand slot.
Yep.
So if we want to put it in our discard,
I know, that's why
really
I think
not that hard.
it's an interesting... It's a weird choice. Like,
So-
also, why doesn't the Derringer do it?
Like I get the
I
like,
get it for the ones that don't take up a slot.
on flavor because you can't take a skeleton key back out of a door once you've used it to open the door that it corresponds to.
But that's not
It's
what
actually
this
like
is.
a very strange design flaw.
Yeah.
Well, no, that one's a
Because
magic
you need to
key.
keep
That's
making you need
the
to keep
magic
getting.
part.
No, these are also skeleton keys.
Oh, I thought they were just old.
No, you're actually reflecting light off it with your matchbox. That's how it works. With your flashlight, same thing. Wow, so much room.
Oh, I thought it was you would like. I thought you can you use the matches and then you're like heating up the metal so you can like mold it to the key that you need. It to be.
That's really good too.
It's a really good
No,
match.
this one doesn't make a whole lot of sense because keys don't have to stay stuck in the lock after you
Yes.
use them. Yeah.
And I think that, like, this one's certainly strange, but I think we can all agree that scavenging back old keyring 0 isn't
like-
that crazy.
Pretty alright.
I mean, it's like,
Because the old keyring gives you the 2 you need to pass the scavenging by.
That's
but it
fair.
does it another separate time.
but I mean, I think, like, if that was, like, the top end of the scavenging
Yeah.
recursion, like, if that was, like, the item mass that you brought back, it probably would have been, like,
yeah,
better.
If
It's not-
upgraded old keyring never existed.
Yes, or, like, Ice Pick never existed, or...
Like the biggest
Even
thing I think
Schaffner's,
that
yeah.
old keyring 0 did with the scavenging is lend consistency to that because it basically is the same thing as a flashlight,
Yeah.
but you just get more of them
Yeah.
now, and that was always going to happen eventually.
Mm-hmm.
You were always going to get something else to bring back, but I think that's the. Yeah, it's very good, but it's not much better than flashlight.
Yeah. But it is like when the alarm started to start to spin, where it's like, are we gonna start seeing an issue? And the answer, of course, is yes. But we'll get there. Granny Orn was a very nice ally for the survivor class because there was a reason, like, there was an alternative to Peter Sylvester, and I think like a very strong alternative to Peter Sylvester.
Different stats, and we're like,
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think they needed to do that. Like, I think they had to.
yeah.
But her ability is very good. It's half a lucky, and just having an active Granny Orn at your location gives you so much security. She's a very nice investigator. Also, like when you succeed, you can fail by more or less. Does actually matter for look what I found, rotting remains, that kind of stuff. Very nice.
She
Yeah.
does definitely, like, I can't see the details of her art here, but it looks like she's like a crazy conspiracy guy where she's got like,
Yeah.
she's got all the pictures on the corkboard and she's attaching the strings.
100%. And fun fact, if you find the full art, you can see her feet. So if you're into that, you can go do that. We got an upgraded look what I
Why
found.
would you say that?
I already told you guys this.
I know you already told us this.
I gotta tell everybody. Look what I found too. It's a good upgrade. It's now 3 or less, which means that like basically 3-shot locations are free as opposed to 2-shot
Yeah.
locations, and also you can do it from connecting locations, so you can use it to like scum victory locations, which is really nice.
It also is like huge for if you're playing low player counts where
Yep.
there aren't always that many clues on a
Yep.
location.
100%.
Like particularly true solo where you can be like this one and the one I just left.
Yeah, it's really good for 1 and 3 as well, because at 3 you can pick up like 2 straggling clues.
And then and then Rex can deduction up the other ones by just using his ability.
Yeah, like getting 2 clues is easy. Getting
Yep.
3 clues, a little bit harder.
Yep. We got a level 0 and a level 2 version of Test of Will, and I think this cycle is really cool because, like, well, it's
Yeah.
not a cycle, but all 3 of the cards are really cool because
It's a
they each
vertical
are.
cycle.
Yeah, there we go. They're all individually, like, reasons to play them changes depending on how you want the card to interact with your
That's
deck.
actually what they're called.
No,
Yeah, okay.
I believe you. Don't worry, I wasn't Brynning you and just wait, vertical? You mean schmertical? I can't even fake Bryn. He's too good at it. And we also got Deja Vu, which was okay. This
The stupidest art is just a cat with glowing eyes.
it's old Stray Cat again.
It's just this stray cat doesn't even have exile. It's just a cat
it's
with
just a cat,
glowing.
yeah.
This is just art that they had. They were like,
Yeah.
this looks spooky. Slap it on there.
Not even art that they had. They literally took Stray Cat and like let's Photoshop this because the idea of deja vu. I think they could have
seen
done
it
it better.
before.
At least, yes.
I mean,
At least it's-
You
it's
understand.
cursed.
You understand how that is
yeah.
thematic for deja vu. It's art that we feel like we've seen before,
I wish they
but
put
we
a
haven't
mustache on
actually
him.
seen this art before because they changed it slightly.
Russ,
That's
that's
not how
you.
deja vu works, though.
Well, deja vu isn't real.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah.
No, it's because like you've already died, and
Oh.
the life that you're living is just your brain
I thought you were gonna
going
just say. I
through
thought you were
all
just
of
gonna say.
your. See, well, you guys aren't real for me. I've already died, and my entire existence is just my brain going through every moment of my life, trying to find a way to avoid it.
Well, I mean, that's what whenever I'm in my room and I'm like, or like in a house and I'm like, that light switch has not always been here. I know I've died and I'm on like a new journey. Yeah. You guys used to be women and it was great.
Man, we would be so fucking catty. Though.
Deja vu. So this was a big cycle because we got survivor cards that were 4 or more experience, right? And Deja Vu was one of these cards. I think it's the least successful of the cards, mostly because Exile. It had all these issues with Exile, right? Where it's like, I have to put this experience into it. Am I going to get all this experience out of it? Is it actually worth it in the long term?
Yeah. They did try to improve that with Edge of the Earth. There's definitely some push cards coming out there with
Yep.
Exile. It's not quite there, but it's getting closer.
Yep.
I think that Deja Vu is a nice piece of that once you get there.
For sure. And then we got Lucky. These are just the insane cards.
Yeah.
We got Lucky 3, which is, while Lucky 0 has fallen out of favor in the full card pool, Lucky 3 is always good. Plus 3 is gigantic, and it being 0 is also just gigantic.
Being able to hit somebody else
is
test,
gigantic.
replacing itself.
It's gigantic.
Yeah, this shit is like red cryptic research.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the.
Yes.
Yeah, like
okay.
it's
Cryptic research,
expensive
your deck
and-
is better with
yeah.
it.
Yep. Yep.
It doesn't matter what
Chainsaw,
you're doing.
another 4 experience card, a big weapon. We already talked in Survivor Week about how this is kind of just a
It's
gun.
just a gun.
Yeah. But it is still a fun Survivor thing to build around, and it was a cool card for the class to be able to play with.
Yeah, it's flavorfully a survival weapon. It's just not mechanically.
Yes. And then Quick Learner was a very nice thing for Stella Clark, obviously, but other investigators can benefit in the Survivor. I've seen a lot of people build Quick Learners for other Survivors, and it still does a good job of getting it done.
I really like the art for this card. I wish it was on a different card.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
It'd be
you
cooler.
can usually pretty easily engineer a turn where the first test that you take,
Yep.
or the first action you take,
Move. Yeah, it's like
we
a-
don't run
Yeah.
a test
Yeah.
here. We don't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
I do.
We
still
don't
think-
have to.
I do still think it should make the probably make the Mythos test harder, but
It did for a bit.
yeah, I think that would. I think that's very on brand for Survivor, especially considering they have other cards that make tests more difficult. That's something that they've dabbled with, and you also have the tools to not care about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
I
like
think
it,
that's totally reasonable.
it definitely should either make the Mythos test harder or easier, because the Mythos test has to be one of these two things.
It's true.
Like it
Well,
cannot.
it's harder because it would be harder because it's at the start of the turn cycle.
Yeah, right. Like it can. Anyway, all I'm saying is that the Mythos test cannot be like both not before your first test and not after your. Third.
Yeah. No, you're right. It does have to be.
It has to be one of these two things.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Travis, you ready?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
This,
These are the best cards.
yeah, the best cards.
If you play them more, you will win, and by win I mean
Lose.
yes.
Yeah, these are the mistakes. Grimm's Fairy Tale, we've talked a lot about this card a lot, about how bad it is. It's not good. It's not good. And it's never been good, and it's not, I can't imagine it becoming good. Who knows?
There's a lot of cards that when we talk about them, one of the things I'll bring up is, I might not play this card, but if someone were to show up with that table, I'd be like, I wouldn't be phased by it,
Yep.
or I'd be like, oh, what are you doing with that? If you show up with these, I think you're a bad deck builder. That's what I'm gonna think.
And a bad person.
Well, a bad card evaluator, maybe not a bad deck builder, but a bad card evaluator.
Or, yeah,
These
or-
cards are awful.
Or know that, or Travis will be like, you're being malicious against me.
Yeah, you're griefing me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grief you back as best I can.
Yeah, I mean, Grit Your Teeth is like almost good.
No,
Almost.
I don't. think so.
I've only played it once when I had to play it. I've only played it once when I had to play it.
I think,
Like reading it, like, no.
I think if it didn't cost money to play, we're like almost good enough.
This is
in that we can be like the card can be abused the same way that.
I think for a level 0 card that is
like
fair.
I think that's fine. Like it could be abused the same way that like Quick Learner can.
Yeah.
Even if we're not doing that, if we're doing stuff that adds numbers together, we get to use.
Well, I mean, that's part of what Quick Learner is good is because you just have it. This effect is not worth a card.
If it replaced itself, I feel like there's a lot of these bad cards that they just add, like Hearthstone, they just add draw a card on it during a buff.
We kind of have this card without a cost in that blue one, Intrepid.
Yeah, and that one's also awful.
Yeah, that one's also unplayably bad.
Albeit that one actually I think is even
quite
I think
the
that
same.
one's more restrictive because you have to pass a brain
You have to
test.
pass a specific kind of test.
Yeah, this is just fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the only time I did when I was playing every card in 2023, I put this in a Tony Morgan deck when I fail in the Mythos phase and then take like 5 actions at +1. I cut it pretty quick though because again it's just like it doesn't do it needs to replace itself or give you head or something.
So I won't make fun of you playing these cards if it's your first time playing them.
Yeah, sometimes you have to learn by doing.
Yeah,
right?
sometimes you gotta learn by doing. That's fair.
Yeah.
But like they are not good.
Yeah.
There's
On to the Answers Conspiracy, we got the actual official Silas Marsh.
No shirt.
No Silas.
Also,
Let's
he's
go.
hiding his nipples so you can have it on YouTube.
It's true. Yeah, it's
It's really cool.
Instagram safe, he says. Official Silas Marsh was really cool to get his harpoon in his net because it made him better at just fighting things.
It's really convenient how this harpoon is also covering his nipple.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Good
like
job, Mr. Ernest.
the thing about this is that he actually lost his nipples in a tragic shark-related incident.
Yes. Yeah.
I heard they got nibbled off by piranhas.
Yeah. Nippled off.
Yeah, nibbled off.
But yeah, no, it was nice to see an actual official Silas, and I think there's a reason to play depending on the signature. He's kind of like Dexter.
Either or both.
Yep,
or
I think there's
whatever, right?
there's some really good uses there. I think his Siren Call weakness is also actually more relevant than it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you can ignore it once and then suddenly you're like, why have I ignored it? I am in trouble. And you need to solve it now.
Yeah, it's like those weaknesses that do damage to you when you take the other one.
Yes, and
Like
you're like,
hypochondria, and you're like, this is fine. Then you take like 3 of that one, you're like, this is not fine.
I do wish it was a little bit more dynamic than just double action remove, but that's just a general thought I have for any signature weakness.
Yeah, I
it's
mean, I
just the
think
way they are.
this one's like somewhere in between racists are trying to kill me and there's a fly in my beer. This
Yes.
is like there's a bunch of flies in my beer and like
One of them is racist.
where did the beer go?
Yeah.
Like my glass is empty. Did I drink those flies?
Well, I have a glass full of flies.
That's not great.
Am I losing it?
Yeah.
All right, on to the blessed cards here. We have the level 0 ones to start with. Keep Faith, Token of Faith, and Beloved. Blessed was really weird when it first came out because they overvalued the power of Bless. And I think a big reason for this is because Ancient Covenant is so strong. But I think that maybe in retrospect, they actually like fairly did the power of Bless right now after we see like when you get more of them for free.
Yeah, I think Ancient Covenant is strong because they overvalued Bless.
Yeah. And now, like, I think it's like, now that Hemlock has lowered the value of what Blessed tokens are to add, Ancient Covenant has become even stronger because of that.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, easier to
Because you
trigger.
were like, you have to pay 4 resources to get, or 2 resources to get 4 tokens into the bag, and then with Ancient Covenant, you have to actually draw one during the relevant test.
Yes.
But it's so easy to draw them,
Yeah.
and there's so many better ways to get them in the bag now.
Yeah. And even then, like, Keep Faith is still, like, was still a playable way to do it then. Like, Preston Fairmont would do it. Survivors, when they have, like, Survivors got, like, resources in burst of 2 a lot, so it kind of, like, makes sense that they would work like this.
Yep.
Token of
Also,
Faith.
Underarm pays for it.
Token of Faith, we kind of malign when it first came out, but it turns out actually was pretty all right for adding Blessed tokens into the
We
bag.
undervalued Bless.
We did, yeah. And also just we undervalued just like how many curses we'd put in passively that we would just draw, and then just like turning those into blesses turned out to be pretty good.
This card's actually also so good for like table morale.
Yes, yeah.
It makes the like people would be bummed out because they hit the autofill and be like, but I gotta put bless, and we're all like, ah!
Yay! We didn't do it! And then we got Beloved, which is just a fine skill that can protect your stats and can do better things with bless tokens.
It's just a really solid level 0 bless archetype card.
Yep. Here's the Ancient Covenant, the Survivor one. I think we knew it was good when it first came out, but I think we were like, because bless card tokens were so hard to keep in, we liked Sacred more.
Yeah, we liked Sacred more because I think it's because the blue archetype was a lot more obvious with Sister Mary, and you had a lot more obvious payoffs because Ancient Covenant was or I guess you had like a Watchful Piece, and there's one other one. I feel like.
Oh yeah, the one where she's going like this, right?
No, that's a Guardian one.
Oh yeah, well, there's a really bad one for Survivor.
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
We were looking at those and we're kind of like, it doesn't really seem worth the effort to get the blesses into the bag. They just seem, a lot of the Survivor cards were more about putting blesses in exchange for curses. It wasn't about putting the blesses in, it was about getting rid of the curses.
Yeah.
And so you weren't really thinking about like, oh, I'm going to load up the bag.
I'm just going to pass, yeah.
Yeah, at the time it seemed like too much effort. So I have to put curses in the bag, and then I also have to play this card, this like 3 money card that lets me exchange the curses in the bag for blesses and get some money back, and then I have to draw them during the relevant test to make my Ancient Covenant work. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of hoops to jump through compared to the Guardian stuff where you're like, I put the bless in the bag for free every turn, and then I stab them with the spear.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And then it turned, we just like, I think I brought a Yorick deck that did Favor of the Sun, and then it was just like, wait a minute. Turns out passing tests on command is pretty good.
It's pretty
Especially when you can do it for anybody.
Yes, which they did taboo it to be just you, which is...
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spirit of Humanity was a cool card. I think we all really like this one. It's a good enabler for a lot of different decks, archetypes, things.
Some of my favorite design cards to come out of the Innsmouth Conspiracy is really cool.
Yeah. We got a Watchful Piece. Guess what? This card was tabooed to remove itself from the game.
I was gonna say it was taboo to remove silence.
Sure.
That's what I thought you were gonna say when you said remove.
To remove silence is sure. No, so this is another issue with the resourceful thing that this card turns out skipping the drawing and counter cards is pretty good.
Every turn.
Yeah, which is pretty good.
Forever.
Yeah, you bring 3 people and one of them just makes so the game doesn't get to play. It doesn't really matter what the other 2 do.
Yep. Russell, why are you...
Russell, you little shit.
I'm taking my chair back though, buddy. Not that you care. Go upstairs.
Yeah,
Why do you have to sit down here all the time? It's because he loves us.
He does love us.
All right, Mariner's Compass is the card we've been talking about for a while in this video. This is the Clue Darkhorse payoff card, and it's very good at doing that.
Scott Brennan, we were like, okay.
Yeah.
No other Darkhorse support. It's like been 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, thanks.
Yeah, which is...
Like we're hyped about it, but it was like...
Yeah, it's a little bit strange.
Yeah. Made sense with Silas. But,
yes. We also got Unrelenting, which is really good with Silas Marsh. Due to... And Amanda. And also Min. Like, Min can... Like, it's all these good things. But this card is that weird Silas exploit, where due to the timing windows, he could draw a bunch of cards and then return this to his hand. And then...
What? Why would you do
Rip
this?
the hard drive again.
Well, thank God I've already taken these slides off the hard drive.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Good planning.
But yeah, no, it's a very nice card for Silas and impactful in other ways. And then we got Shrine of the Morai, which is some really good recursion, especially if you can find a way to remove it from the location, which admittedly was not that common when this card was released. You kind of just had to hope the location left play. But there are some kind of jankier ways you can do that now.
I actually really like Unrelenting as a way to give survivors card draw and resources, but just like the concept of using a skill to get those, having to succeed and stuff, but the whole mechanical, using the blessed tokens is the miserable part. Yeah.
Or even just because like you don't even need to be using bless to do it, right? Like it's also just +1/+0/0. So like even that. All right, Russ, we're at a slide change break right away, so I'm gonna have to kick you out. But we're on to the Innsmouth Conspiracy. So I've included, once again, an enemy here, just the damage. With Jessica Hyde, now survivors don't care about damage. There was a lot of gameplay loop where, as a survivor, you would bring Jessica Hyde, a Charisma, and a Peter Sylvester, right?
And you're like, I'm invincible, and you were.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
are.
like you also got like a Darkhorse for the privilege.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Why not?
Yeah, just plus 1 to 3 your stats.
You were like, yeah, I'm like not good at book, but
everything else is good.
Yeah, survivors really excelled in the Innsmouth Conspiracy, I think, because the really threatening things that the game kind of... Overall, this is like not a super difficult campaign, especially as you get further into it. But the enemies do damage to you when they engage you most of the time, or have other negative... One of them makes you discard card, which, like, who cares? And they do damage, which you're great at taking.
Yep.
And then one of the other really impactful cards, the Syzygy.
Yes. You can lose resources.
Yeah, like the options are, it's like Doom, Horse, or Resources, right? Most time people are going to take Resources. You don't care too much about losing your resources.
Yep.
So.
I think the big, even like I said, I've also put Psychic Pull here because, again, it's a weird survivor thing where they're playing a lot of zero, like low cost cards are skills, so this card becomes like easier to deal with. But I think the big thing that the Innsmouth Conspiracy exploited for the survivor class was, again, their lack of movement. I think they feel flooding, like them and Mystics feel flooding really bad. Because, like, if your location is fully flooded, like, yeah, a survivor could probably survive taking 5 direct damage, but you're not going to win the game if you're taking 5 direct damage.
Every turn. Yeah, you can eat that once easy. You can probably eat it twice, maybe a third time.
yeah,
That's
I
like
mean,
a big
if you're building your deck to do that specific thing.
Yeah, and then it's like at that point there's so much of god.
Fight me on this.
All right, well we're gonna do a slide change break, and we're gonna come back and do the last little bit here. And Russ is unfortunately gonna go away, so we'll be right back. All right, Russ is away, and we can now talk about the final batch of cards here. Return to Circle Undone.
That was really kind of uncomfortable how you said away.
He will never return. He's okay, but out of sight, out of mind.
Away.
He's away.
Okay.
He's gone.
Okay, but
He is crushed into a small cube.
he's okay.
Yeah, probably. A Nine of Rods was some cool treachery mitigation, some encounter card mitigation that survivors were able to do, and also it was nice to have a tarot that they could like want to try to build towards. Wow. And then Trial by Fire, again, is just like more stat big, which is like good for Preston, also good for Kelvin, all that kind of stuff.
This was a neat way to do it, and it also like actually sets your stats to a relevant number.
Yes.
Like 7 is a good place to be.
Yeah, so 5 and then 1 to 7, which is really nice. All right, on to Edge of the Earth, where we saw Bob Jenkins, who is a survivor on the front, but he does turn into a rogue. However, Bob does a very good survivor like impression.
He plays Scavenging really well, you're right.
And he plays items. He plays items too, which they have a lot of good items that are cheap and
He plays Scavenging really well.
yeah. Yeah, that's Bob. Then there's also Daniela, who is the actual survivor here because she upgrades into a survivor. And then she, like all the other survivors that we've talked about, you're playing a Daniela deck, which I think is really cool. Because, you're
You
wanting
want
to...
different stuff.
Yeah.
You approach building your deck differently.
Yeah, you want like you look at enemies differently, and she is very fun to play because of that.
Yeah, she's a really nice pairing of the two sort of colors that the two classes that she's a part of, where you get the invincible, like you will never die.
Yeah.
Because you're a survivor. And then, but that's not really something that they could print as red certified, like in Yorick's colors. Having only the level 0 blue stuff really restricts her to the less egregious payoffs for that archetype.
And it also allows her to, because I feel like if she was just like, if she wasn't restricted to what she was, she would actually probably play a very similar game to Yorick as well. But now she's playing something that's like hers, which I think is really cool.
Yep.
We got 2 very strong permanents here for the Survivor class. One for everybody in the thick of it. Just 3 experience to start a trauma is really good. Survivors can mitigate that pretty well by being survivors. But they also got Short Supply, which just gives you 10 extra cards in your discard pile.
This is the mistake slide.
It's strange to do it first, but it is true.
Weird to do it first, but it's important.
Yeah. So, like, Short Supply is very good in most, if not all, survivor decks, just because it gives you more options. If you're planning on recurring anything with resourceful, it's like hard to not look at short supply. If you have any sort of ability, like maybe for example an Elder Sign that recurs stuff from your discard pile, it's very hard for you to not do short supply. If you are playing Scavenging, it's very hard for you not to do short supply.
Or if you're building around any red, any survivor asset,
Yeah.
or really, I mean, any survivor card, it's very difficult not to play short supply.
Yeah.
Because you can, if you also play the 2 resourcefuls and the 2 scrounge for supplies, the odds that you will either...
That you'll fuck it up is bad, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like so low.
It's so low, but also the short supply is effectively drawing you 10 cards.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you're not doing any, because I've seen survivor decks I've played that don't use resourceful. Like if you're not interacting with it at all, you don't play it. But those are like the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most survivor decks are made better by the inclusion of short supply, I think.
Yeah. And a big reason for that is also this little batch of cards that we got here. Maybe not Jury Rig, but it is still a very good card.
Yeah, it's just like the other level 01.
Yeah. Schaffner's catalog did a very big thing. I mean, it is just, if we really strip it down, it is just an emergency cache for items.
Yep.
Right? That's all it is that you can kind of share at the table. But there's so much other survivor baggage that adds on to this card that makes it as good as it is. It discards itself. It's recurable, right? It has that little bird in the top corner of it, you know?
There were a couple of things that we talked about throughout this video when Bryn was talking about Yorick and how the hoops you had to jump through, where you had to pay for your item and you had to kill an enemy, and there had to, like, the item you wanted to play had to be in your discard pile. This makes this you no longer have to care about the... I mean, you're always going to have an item in your discard pile because how it's going to be in your discard pile. There's no secrets on it, or it's going to be in play, and you're going to use it to play a different item. And also, you don't have to worry about paying for your items anymore because this does it. Same thing for Scavenging, where the big issue was that the reason why it was primarily used to just like get skill icons is because the economy wasn't there to repeatedly play whatever you were getting back in a lot of cases. But now we have infinite money.
Yeah.
Mr. Schaffner, send me 5 ice picks.
Yeah, like now...
No, nothing else out of the catalog.
Just ice
Please,
picks,
just
please.
the ice
Yeah,
picks.
having to pay 2 for a flashlight every turn, non-issue.
Yep. I feel like a lot of these things is we kind of like, I imagine like if it was just like they wanted to leave play, if it was just like not the discard pile, but like the bottom of your deck, things would have been a lot different with these things. Bandages is a good representation of how healing has started to get really good. And Edge of the Earth was the point where this happened.
Yes.
I think Daniela is a big reason for that. They needed healing to be good for her. But also, this is when, luckily, I think this was a nice shift where Peter Sylvester became less of a thing you needed to play. Because as healing as a whole just started to get better, you got to, survive more because of that. Bandages, like Schaffner's, is pretty pushed for its healing. It discards itself. Same thing that Travis was just talking about for all its ability to recur. And I'll just thank the stars so much they've never made a horror version of this card.
Yeah, like we've talked a little bit about bandages potentially being too good at what it does. And like, yeah, a horror one would probably be just too much, especially in conjunction with the bandages. But really, I still think that at the end of the day, it's the scavenging that's the issue.
Yep, 100%. 100%.
Even if you're getting them back with resourceful, you're spending your slots and your money and actions to
and this is also
be invincible, which is you can't spend on advancing the game. So.
100%. And this is also when as you said, this is when Scavenging 2 started to become like, oh, I think I kind of want this, because your Schaffner's now being fast is kind of gross.
Yeah, because the upgrade's huge for this.
Especially if you hit second Schaffner's and you're like, Schaffner, send me another catalog. And he's like...
What is up with this guy?
Okay.
Yeah, no, but especially since there would be actually a economy problem when you're playing just the level 0 scavenging, where you have to, even if you have 2 scavenging, you spend action to investigate, you get 2 things back, you spend your other 2 actions playing them, and then, if you need to move or you need to evade something or whatever, it interrupts your little loop. But if you have 2 scavengings, you just get, it turns that cycle that takes a turn into 1 action.
Yes.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Jury Rig's good. We love Jury Rig. We play it a lot.
Yes.
Yeah,
I also need to...
just
Barbed
like
wire makes everything better, especially your fingerprint kits, because
I also have to look at...
shows up in the blood.
I need to see...
I thought it worked better because you just showed up and you were like, is these your fingerprints? And they were like, no. And you just like you're getting the baseball bat out and you're wrapping the barbed wire around. And they're like,
No, you're taking
did I say no? I meant maybe.
give you all the information.
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Why do you want to know?
Yeah.
I need to
Very
remember
possible.
when we have Peter Sylvester. Sorry, he's in my head. When Parallel Ashcan Pete comes up, I want to see if it's when it's attached to what locations come back to your hand, because I would love to jury rig items on your guys' stuff. It leaves play and then I get the jury rig back. That just seems like a fun thing to do. That's just when I was making these slides.
You do get it back with your well-maintained.
You do, yeah.
It's an upgrade. Barbed wire on your gun.
Here are 2 exile cards, and also Plucky.
And they're really good.
Oh yeah, very good
They're
cards
not
here.
the
I mean,
same
Edge of the Earth as a whole is a very good
Yeah, there's
freaking cycle.
Yeah, there's so many good player cards.
Burn After Reading is a crazy clue card. It's just free clues. You exile it, but it's like only costs 1. You can also exile a card that's level 2 or higher to remove Doom. Something that you might think is just trinket text, but I actually, when we did our recent Survivor Innsmouth run, it's the reason our campaign didn't end, because of the 1 Doom I took off in Light in the Fog. So it's like actually super relevant for that as well. Upgraded Fire Extinguisher is now just like Machete, which is kind of boring for the top thing, but it's like one of the few melee survivor weapons that they can just use indefinitely, so a lot of people do play it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fine place for it to be a 3 experience.
Yeah. But the discard effect is now really nice as well.
It is very good, yes. It's
Very good
actually worth
exile
it.
thing. And then Plucky is just a good composure. All the composures for this one are nice, and Plucky's really good.
I mean, this one's like especially good because it's brain, and then you got the book, and then you can.
And you also like usually have ways to soak damage or horror, like
Yeah, damage is super easy for survivors to soak. Horror also super easy.
yeah, it turns out.
So it doesn't really matter that it's a 1/3. It could be 1/1 and it'd be pretty much the same card.
Pretty much the same card, yeah.
Yeah.
If it just said like when damage is placed on your investigator, discard this instead, and you'd be like, okay.
I'm surprised this one doesn't give you +1 health and sanity. You can spend a resource to get an additional health and sanity to the end of the turn.
Whoa.
Never play
die.
Calvin like I'll die
Next
in the
turn.
mythos.
Yeah. All right. On to the multi-class cards. We're not going to talk too much about the design of these cards because I think we touched on that earlier.
Yeah, we've talked about them a lot over the last couple of years.
I think Level 0 Sledgehammer is a really good multi-class card because I think there is like the top action and the bottom action feel like Survivor, and then like Guardian comes into here as well. Get to the upgraded version. I think it's still a great card. It's fun to build around. Nice thing to fight with. Kind of a little bit memey, but still like a good time.
Yep.
Ice Picks, cool card. Very problematic with scavenging.
Imagine my surprise.
And the worst thing about these ones too is that you don't need to go to the level 2 one. The thing we just talked about, if you just wanted to have the level 0 version and still just be fast and do all that stuff, it's kind of crazy with it.
Yeah, there's also like vicious blows sometimes, which is kind of wild.
Yep, vicious blows and deductions. I mean, like, I love the design if scavenging didn't exist, you know, or if like scavenging was limited to like Professor William Webb, who notably did not make a slide here because scavenging exists.
Yep.
Pretty fair.
Unscrupulous Loan is the rogue one that we have here. There's also Hit Me, which kind of follows through with the... Also, Old Hunting Rifle didn't make it.
Don't reveal the skull.
Yeah, those are the skull things that I hinted at with Baseball Bat.
Yeah, I trimmed out some of the ones we talked about in previous weeks, and that I think were kind of boring. Like
I think ultimately there's not much to say about
like
them.
Precious Memento. What were we gonna say? You get to live forever.
Soak more, yeah.
Like,
What's the matter, apes?
Unscrupulous Loan, I think, is interesting. Well, I don't think it's like a perfect mix between the two classes. I do like that each class approaches it differently. Where survivors want to exile and spend the resources, rogues want to hoard. I think it's a fun card to come with for that thing.
Yeah, rogue's like, what if you lent me 10 money? Like, I'm not gonna use it for anything.
Yeah. And then survivors are like, please, I need to buy food.
well, so it actually is like very much the rogue are like the rich people getting a loan, right? Where they're like, I want the money, I'm going to use it to make more money. And the survivors want the money to spend it.
Yep. And they go into debt, which is 3 experience, which is, not that bad, all things considered.
Yeah, it's like pretty
that's pretty good, especially if you like have deja vu.
Yeah.
I've been crippling debt before.
We go to the Mystic
again.
ones here. Talisman of Protection is some
Those
more
are all
protection. Earthly Serenity is some really nice healing. And then Enchanted Bow is a really cool weapon that a lot of survivors are able to play. It's kind of like the Ornate Bow, just a little bit more restrictive, but also a little bit more open in weird ways, which I think is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a spell for killing the geists.
It is a spell for killing the geists. Amen.
Tech card.
Fun card, though.
It is very fun to play with, yes.
You show up and the poltergeist is like, you got to talk me off this ledge, and you're like, no.
Yeah. Headshot.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Edge of the Earth campaign. Once again, the big maps, so movement is tougher for them. There's also the things that are polar vortexes. There's the one that deals damage and horror to your all assets at your location, which once again kills your Peter and your Jessica. I think survivors also get a pretty big boon out of the partners. Well, I think obviously every class does. Being able to just go to 5 for one of your relevant stats or like unrelevant stats and just like get clues or deal damage just over time is really nice to have.
As a general rule, like your stats are lower than or like they're closer to that like
Edge of the
3
Earth with Eric yet?
No.
Okay, you should build like the star deck.
Oh yeah.
And just try to like soft lock these guys behind him.
Well, they just
like, well, he's got 2 and 4, so if you take him out, he dies.
Yeah. just leave the. They have to stay at camp. That's a funny idea. And then included Tekalilis because it's the mechanic of this one, and survivors don't really interact with it. So good job, survivors.
Yeah, they crush it, especially since they can't draw cards.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, parallel Wendy Adams, who...
No, I'm with you on this one. This card's a nightmare.
Yeah, so this was the one that we've previously maligned her in the past, but I think for good reason. She's kind of over-designed. She has an extra card that just continues the text on her card. That's always a little pet peeve of mine. And I know it's also a pet peeve of you. And the whole parallel thing is a pet peeve of Bryn, so
Yeah.
it's like a perfect story.
It would be unfortunate for me if it existed, but
It's not. Yeah.
So
And I also feel like it doesn't really hit the themes of what Wendy Adams is, and ultimately, I do not consider her to be a successful parallel investigator. I have not actually brought her through a full campaign because I just can't be bothered.
It's too many words, isn't it?
I also
It is,
despise her deck building.
Yeah.
There's just too much. Like, they're just like, what? We'll just let you do anything. I don't understand why she gets Survivor 0 to 5 or most of the previous parallels.
That's 0 to 3.
0 to 3 for
Yeah.
theirs. I don't understand why she gets Curse or Bless or both 0 to 5, whereas the other guys didn't get 0 to 5 for their stuff. And it's just kind of like, why did you get everything? And another card, Wendy.
It's because her mom's dead and her dad, even though everyone says he's alive, is dead.
Well, so he's in Eldritch Horror.
It's functionally dead.
You can get Wendy's dad if you're playing the campaign
That's right.
mode.
That's a bad actor. Someone's swindling her because they know she took an unscrupulous loan. How did they give her a loan? I don't know.
It makes you like impossible to kill.
That's why it's unscrupulous to give it to a child. You okay this loan here, John? Yeah.
She's
my
8.
DM, 8-year-old.
All right.
You think she's gonna pay it back?
Absolutely not.
No, I believe she said she would.
No, she put down
promised.
six buttons and a piece of licorice as collateral. So like, I think we're good. We're good.
This looks like this loan document looks like it was signed by an 8-year-old with a crayon. It was.
Yeah, as a matter of fact. On to the Scarlet Keys, we got Daryl Simmons here. He is our Seeker 02 splash. He's not an 05 splash.
Oh my god.
I think it's a really cool marriage of a lot of like ideas, which is just like the survival, but then also like spending the resource off evidence, and then also the reverse unexpected courage for the -2 on stats.
Yeah, I like the evidence use between the two classes, like that as a link between them. Though I do wish the Succeed by 0 was more of a Seeker archetype. It makes sense to me that you put resources into learning about something and studying it, and then it makes the test easier. Or like potentially trivial. You're like, I figured out the monster's one weakness or whatever, and you shoot the vampire with a silver bullet.
Definitely.
Something like that.
That's a very good cover for you actually just wanting it because it's the strongest thing of the cycle.
No.
Daryl Simmons is great though. Very strong investigator. We voted him the strongest survivor. No, he was the second strongest. Wendy won it.
Yeah.
Carson Sinclair can play Survivor, and I think he plays Survivor.
Can.
Yeah, I
think it like pretty medium.
Yep.
Like of the 3 choices, it's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
It's probably significantly better now with Contemplative and Headbrick.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like definitely better than Purple is.
Yeah.
Yep. I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Seeker just has guidance, which is like really good.
Seeker's just got like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's also Vincent Lee, who can play survivor cards.
And not just bandages.
Yeah, you can also play Stunning Blow, which we did with the Blowjob Brothers. And it was great, yeah.
Yeah, no, Vincent Lee, if you play him as a fighter, he gives you a very good experience of the scraping together things to kill guys.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he basically, most of Vincent Lee's decks, if he plays a fighter, he's playing Jessica Hyde too, so he's basically a survivor.
Jessica Hyde, you got your Practice Makes Perfect, you got your 4 blows.
Yep. What more do you need?
Yeah, remember that time that Vincent Lee showed up and blew an entire casino?
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah, that was great. Yeah,
That was something.
It's a messy day.
here are our
A lot
customizable
of dead
cards.
people.
Yeah, a lot of dead people. It was horrible, man.
Lot
That was like, that's on the news. They're going to
Yeah.
make a Wikipedia article about it. That was bad.
Yeah.
Here are the customizable cards in Survivor. We have Pocket Multi-Tool, Makeshift Trapped, and Grizzled. I think that the Survivor customizable cards are probably the fairest of all the customizable cards.
Yep.
And by that are probably, like, by nature of that, also the ones that I think we would be the most likely to play and revisit of them.
I think generally that they're the most well designed because they upgrade into doing a specific thing instead of a whole bunch of things. And it's very easy to, even though it's not on the card, it's very easy to remember what they do without having to reference the extra card. You're like, Pocket Multi-Tool makes me better at fight. It makes me better at evade. It makes me better at investigate. Whichever one of those. Makeshift Trap does the thing you want it to do.
They all kind of just do like whatever the card says it does. But the things that we upgrade are like make it do that thing.
Yeah.
Better or different.
I think a big reason for this is because like that focus where it's on like little like archetypes of the card, and it's also because I think there was a conscious choice to design these to be hovering mostly around 6 XP to kind of feel like that 3 XP survivor thing as well. And then we got Shedalite, the Tested Zero archetype. This, this one is kind of, if you cover the middle two, this is kind of the mistake slide, if you cover the middle two on this.
Yeah, but I mean, those cards are both worth talking about, so they're here.
Yeah. Shedalite was bonkers. It's a crazy card. The Tested Zero is actually a very easy thing to pull off, it turns out. And if you're able to recur this with Resourceful, and maybe even Scrounge for supplies, like, that's really good.
I remember when this set came out, I was arguing that Chevrolet isn't that bad and it shouldn't be... I thought it was going to be more difficult than it was to pull off, but I was wrong.
Yeah, it turns out it's surprisingly easy.
I was wrong.
Old Keyring, I'm just going to bounce to the other side. It's kind of like this big payoff to as well. Like, Shedalite is already a huge payoff, but like Old Keyring is even more disgusting.
It's like a shit sandwich with really nice bread.
And then there is the way that you can scavenge it back, which they probably should have never have upgraded Old Keyring. Like, I don't think it was...
I mean, Old Keyring's not that bad if you just kill scavenging.
That is true. Yes. Again, I think that if there's one thing that they should kill,
really just take that out behind the shed. That'd be fantastic for survivors class.
I mean, I will say, even though it hasn't killed it, it costing 2 XP to 4 XP has made people play it a lot less generally.
Yep.
So that is nice, but it's still probably one of the best things you can do even at that level. But it's like, I have to spend 2 XP. What am I going to do with that?
It's really unfortunate because we talk about some cards limiting design space and the like, right?
Yep.
And Scavenging is definitely one of those cards where we look at that and you're like, you have to think about every item that you're going to print in the future, and the investigators didn't, or the designers didn't. Yep. So yeah.
Yep. We have Flashlight and Gumption. These are some test reduction cards. I think Flashlight 2 is fun that you can also do on evades. Now it's a reaction as well. I think that's really cool. 3, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's not 2.
Oh, I guess I was just reading.
It does cost.
It does cost.
That infected my brain there.
Yeah.
But I think it's a fun design card, and I think there's a lot of good uses for
That's
it.
good design, yeah.
And Gumption is the reverse Unexpected Courage. I think is nice to have as well. Kind of just having like Daryl's ability on a card.
It is better. It's what upgraded Unexpected Courage should have been.
I agree.
Really, because it is like marginally better.
Yeah. Exploit Weakness.
It's its own slide.
It is.
What a cool guy.
It's mostly, this one was included as all 5, but because I can only put 4 on a thing.
No, it gets its own slide because it's cool and unique and special, Justin.
It's cool and unique and special and a lot harder to pull off than Shedalite. Turns out.
Yeah.
Cool card though. I think like it's a very fun thing to build towards. These are our dilemmas, which were the roll the dice mechanic of this one for the survivor class. I think there's some good cards here. I think all these cards are good and playable. I just don't like them, so I can't really comment too much about them. But I see Out of Crossroads played a lot. Nature of the Beast played a lot.
I played a campaign with a deck around these. I think I was playing Pete, and then I just played these in Katya basically, and they're good as individual cards, most of them. As an archetype with like Kaya, they're kind of underwhelming. It was like fine, but I'm not like, you're not doing anything particularly cool or blow on the. It is nice every once in a while when you're like, oh no, wait, I got the thing for this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I did enjoy bringing Fickle Fortune in our Blowjob Brothers run, because I could like help you out as Vincent or put Doom down if like we needed more time. I did end up taking it out because the idea of having this in our opening hand was like, oh God, no, please no.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think they're cool. They're cool.
And they're fun to play with.
Yeah.
For the most part.
And I don't think we need to revisit them. I think we covered it pretty good.
I wouldn't mind seeing like one more support card, like a Sin Eater permanent.
That's fair.
That did something similar to Katya.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's fair.
Or like just one that was like, when you draw a dilemma, you may choose both.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be
I mean,
spicy.
What is it, Fandral Staghelm or whatever it is from Hearthstone?
That would actually be
just
insane.
Choose both. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Insane for Fickle Fortune.
All right, end of the road.
These are two of the other cards that I thought were cool in this
I
expansion.
mean, end of the road. I play a lot. I usually bring it as at least a one of into most of my decks now.
This card I think is very, very good.
Yeah.
I think it should probably be a 2 of in most Survivor decks.
Yeah. And Baseball Bat is also just like the upgraded version is nice. It mitigates some of the downside where you can return it to your hand after the attack.
It's a great upgrade, really.
Yeah, I think it gets the job done. Scarlet Keys campaign. Again, we have the usual stuff where like it's like poke damage or chip damage, and they can just say no. However, concealed I think is actually an issue for survivors.
It's quite rough for them, yeah.
Especially because also shrouds are higher in this location because of concealed. So like, you know.
Yeah, even if it's a 5 test, it doesn't matter whether you get to pick between your book foot or fist. You're still going to struggle a little bit because you're probably not playing Rita or Daryl.
Yep. They might be playing Daryl because he's from the
That's
cycle.
fair. But, I mean,
even then, it's still tricky to like.
I've given each investigator their own chance.
That's fair.
An even chance.
Yeah. All right, parallel Ashcan Pete here.
You were going to check a thing.
Yeah. Tune and
I don't remember what it was.
It does not work with jury rig. That's a shame.
Darn.
But parallel Ashcan Pete, very strong parallel investigator. But if you take out the strength, the cool thing about him is that he opened up a bunch of survivor cards that we haven't even talked about here. I mean, Lure is one of them. We did talk about it. Being able to like do that every turn, or like hiding spot, a card we didn't talk about, being able to do that every turn.
This one's actually an investigator I'm really annoyed is like
parallel.
I would have much rather seen a second set of like investigator decks and have this be the survivor one, and then like a handful of reprints.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I'm hoping they do now. They do something with it, like maybe the Bryn pack that you said, or alternatively release some as new investigator starter decks. I think could be a cool way to go.
Or
about
just
it
like
as
an
well.
investigator upgrade pack where they come with the parallels and then like a couple new cards.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's one that they could do that. There's at least probably like one or two that they could print from each class. Like I don't think they'd print Parallel Jim. I don't think they do Wendy. They could do Ashcan Pete. He's very easy to.
Yeah, they could do.
Agnes?
Yeah, they could do Agnes.
They could do Skids.
They could do Zoe and Rex.
Oh yeah, I think they might not do. They might not do that because they have Bless and Curse tokens. So.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't do them unless they came. Like they could print them in an expansion, given that they existed. Curse, but I think that they're printable as they are.
Yeah, and then Bryn can start playing them.
I would like to see them like maybe some power tweaks if they would release them. Actually, though.
Yeah, I think the guitar needs to be.
Yeah, it should like cost you a resource or something, or
should
like
be something.
Be in action.
Yeah. He stole Kelvin's ability. Like that's where Kelvin's other, like, you know, like Kelvin needed an extra ability. Parallel Ashcan Pete came back from the future and just took it from him.
Wow.
Yeah. He said,
What
"This
jerk.
is mine." Yeah.
No,
turned out for him though.
already have a dog.
He's like, yes, but I want both of them.
Parallel Pete's just Cable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like cruising around like, no, this is mine. Anyway, see you later.
On to the Feast of Hemlock Vale. We got Hank Sampson.
3 of them.
Yeah, 3 of them. Cool thing where it's kind of like he's kind of like a Daniela mixed with Kelvin, mixed with Silas in some ways from his deck building things.
He is the most like general survivor investigator we've got in a while.
Yes.
Since probably original Ash Can't Beat.
Yeah. And I think it actually turned out that there is a reason to turn into either mode, which I think was pretty exciting.
Very pleasantly surprised playing him.
Yeah. And I think he's pretty fun. He's pretty cool. Six-fisted, it's cool to see that on a card.
It's not an exciting design, but like you were very harsh on this when it came out, and I think that I think that he's a bit better than you were giving him credit for.
Oh no, I think he's good. I think he's good. I just don't like his deck building. I don't
fair.
like that he eats.
That's fair. I didn't remember exactly which you were. They should design those other guys better. Are you mad that every time they print a Secret Investigator because they do something other than what Ursula does?
No, if they printed another Secret that did relics like at the same thing of her but were better, I would. That's the thing, right? Like if this guy like didn't have Spirit, I would enjoy it more because he's not just like also eating Kelvin's pie. Even though Kelvin doesn't have a lot of pie to eat, it's now like even more where it's just like Mufasa, long live the king.
He doesn't have any pie to eat.
It's true. That's the worst part too. But no, I think he's a good design for everything except for his deck building. I think.
Okay. No, but he was a pleasant surprise from the simplicity on the tin. Yeah,
100%. He's I also like it because he has like I think his weakness is actually like relevant as well. You're like I need to find par, and I love his signature. It's kind of like Mark's.
I also like it a lot.
Yeah. All right, on to some cards here. We got Sparrow Mask, which you might have noted a trend where survivors like to boost their brain and or foot, and Sparrow Mask keeps that going.
Does do that.
Yep, also pretty easy to refill. Matchbox, they are still discarding things when it runs out of uses.
Yeah, at least
Matchbox makes sense because there should not be any matches left when you are done.
This one does make this makes sense for the slotless ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the bandages make sense too, because they like when
you run out of bandages, you just keep getting dirty bandages. No like, please stop.
I'm gonna get infected. You're like, shh.
Pelt Shimmin is a really cool way to get some bonus XP as the survivor that actually does impact your gameplay while you're playing it as well. So
I'm very harsh on the bonus XP cards, but I like this one.
Nice, yeah. I think it's good. I think it's fun. I haven't played with it yet, but I saw you play with it, and it seemed to be a good push-pull.
It definitely made for some interesting choices where, like, can I afford to throw away 3 cards and never have a useful card in my hand again to get 2 experience for us? Can we win this scenario? And then the answer was almost always yes, because you guys are going to carry me.
And also because you're a survivor, you can make do without it.
Yeah.
Elaborate Distraction is Cunning Distraction light, but it turns out it's, like, just as good and relevant. Yep. I think the one extra action to reduce the resource cost, but also add damage is a very nice...
just for the resource, it wouldn't be worth it, but the flexibility makes it nice.
Yeah. We're continuing with some weird weapons revisiting. We have the Pitchfork, which can go into your location or your friends. And then we have Hatchet, which goes into enemies. I really like this kind of like found weapon continuing and having like a weird quirk to them that makes it a little bit more interesting than just I stab and then I stab again.
Yeah, these are really great weapon designs in my opinion. This is the kind of stuff they should be, not this exact design. I'd like to see like other things too, but like this category of design is really good for survivor weapons as opposed to something like Chainsaw.
Yeah, and it's also what's nice is that like things like Hatchet, there's a lot of text on this card compared to other things, but it's all very intuitive when you play with it, which makes the more text feel less oppressive.
Oh yeah, the big text is just trying to describe something working the way you expect it to.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And then we got Long Shot, which is honestly a killer card for the Survivor class. Insane card. Yeah.
Just a brick.
It actually is. I think the thing that was the most surprising to me for Long Shot, the tongue is great, is that the evade is actually incredibly relevant to be able to trigger it on evasions.
What? What? This does damage on evade?
Yeah, you can commit it to evade actions
wild.
as well. Yeah, and that actually is like...
I've never seen someone do that.
Yeah, the other one can be committed to a parley.
Yeah.
That's
the clue one?
Yeah.
No, it means that Alessandra can play it because it says the word parley on it.
But that's at least not reminder text.
Yeah.
Which I
it's in the rules text.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, no. The thing is like you just like. There was times when I was playing with like I think I was playing like Ash Can't Pete and Eric was playing Min and I evaded an enemy and Eric's like, by the way, here's a brick, and I was like, what the fuck? It actually was like, it's actually kind of crazy.
Are you playing that card wrong? You're like, nope.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah. Some experience cards here. Upgraded Token of Faith. It's just as good as the other Token of Faith, but now also you can do some like live and learn type stuff where you can attempt the test again, which I think is a nice thing to have for 3 experience.
You also get that many Blessed tokens instead of the 1.
Yep.
So it's very good to offset someone playing a dedicated curse deck.
Oh no, it is still that many for the other one
really?
too. Because that's when I got 3 when Bryn did curse auto fail. Yeah.
Level 0 just keeps getting better and better, baby.
Devil is a fun ally. It's a little bit like janky and all that, but it is still like
He's a little bit bad, but he's fun.
bad, right?
A little bit bad.
But honestly, he's performed every time someone's brought him. You kind of have to build around him, but like Dynamite is still Dynamite.
Turns out.
And Hunting Jacket is very good.
It's I like that card a lot as an economy design for Survivor.
Yep. Also really good in Will Yorick, turns out. Yep. Survival Technique is got its own slide because it's its own archetype where you are going to return things that are attached to your location. I think that there's a lot of fair things you can do with this card, and then once I realized it works with Shrine of Morai, I was like, uh-oh, that's a problem.
No, it doesn't work with Shrine.
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. I'll hit my head with a hammer. It doesn't work with Shrine of Morai. I love cards like this though that expand archetypes. And then speaking of expanding archetypes, I guess not really, but it is making the archetype better. This is what we talked about all the way back in Dunage Legacy, the upgraded Darkhorse, which is very good in Darkhorse decks. Not having to find it or play it is very good. But turns out when survivors run out of experience after scenario 4 or 5
or 2
or
or
3,
really
they can
doesn't
just
matter.
buy Darkhorse 5 and just like get incidental value out of it. Yeah. The upgraded Fire Axe, it being fast, I thought wasn't anything. But then I was in a situation where I drew an enemy and I had the Fire Axe in my hand, level 0, and I was like, fuck! So I actually think it's like fine for like 2 XP down the road. I like the Mariner's Compass upgrade where it exhausts if you fail. I think that's a nice survivor design that comes with it. But yeah.
Yeah, I do like these just as a place for the Darkhorse archetype to go as well.
Yeah, and then also it's like one of those things where, as we've learnt from the designers, is that in each one of their, times they do a set, they budget some reprints because it means they don't need to like make new art because they have to be making more new art. So it's nice to have upgrades that aren't wildly different or wildly pushed. Just small changes that you can just make your things better and
these are
benefit from that.
probably worth like 1.5 experience for what they do, but like 2 is again fine because Survivors swim in it.
Yep. Hemlock Vale campaign. Look at that. Incidental horror damage. I included it again. Captivating Gleam, I actually think is more relevant to the survivor class. Yes, they can. This is the Beyond the Veil change here. Yeah, they can survive 5 horror. This is when you don't have any cards in your hand. But I think that survivors are more likely to trigger this than other classes just due to the nature. Like, just imagine George Barnaby holding this and then your boat breaks. You're like, fuck!
And then you drown.
Yeah. And then also the enemies. I think Survivor has a very hard time with the enemies in Hemlock Vale because a lot of them have to be 1 damage at a time, which survivors are like, what do you mean fuck me for, right?
I mean, like, on the other hand, Survivors are very good at doing that if that's not their job.
That is true. They're very good at the ping things. If you're dedicated, if you're the main fighter, you'll struggle a bit more.
If you show up, you have like a Red Glove Man or a Trial by Fire, you're like, hell yeah. Or like a Will to Survive, you're like, I could just punch this guy 3 times.
Rita's also really good here because locking them down and then just like pinging them is a nice way to slowly kill them over time as well.
Yep, it's kind of a double-edged sword there.
Yep. Drowned City, we're not going to talk about these cards in detail, but these are just some notable things here. George Barnaby, we've talked about him. He expands the discard. He plays it differently than Patrice, but still in a very cool way. Gift of Nodens is another... so this is actually one of the first 5 XP cards that goes into their deck that's not a permanent, that is also not part of a cycle. So the other one we have is Dig Deep, right? And like Chainsaw. Those are the other like 2 that are in here.
There are more than 3.
So sorry, yeah. I forgot. So there's Chainsaw in this one for Gift of Nodens that are actually like survivors can build towards something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because dig deep it is, but it's like part of a cycle. So they just got that because everyone else did.
Also, you don't really dig toward it, right? Or I mean, build toward it. You're just like,
it's just value.
yeah, like so. Gift of Nodens and Chainsaw, you build your deck around doing the thing that they do, and then you get it like wins you the game.
Yeah.
And dig deep doesn't do that. It just makes you not lose.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but it makes you not lose real good.
It does make you.
It does do that,
yeah.
but it's not something you would like.
So that's
build around.
That's a nice thing that the survivors got on like the high experience side.
Yeah.
Good Weather I thought was going to be good, but then Bryn played it and I was like, whoa, this card's actually like really good. It's like
even when it's like when it's kind of mediocre. So like
when it's really windy out.
The trouble with playing cards like this is that Travis takes his turn really fast.
Yeah.
You just need to be ready to do it.
Yeah, but like this one, I gotta think about what I actually want to do.
No, you should know before.
Before the Mythos cards are drawn.
Well, you were drawing the
I should
Mythos
know.
card last, so you should have just pretended to think about your Mythos card and
And then watch you take your turn anyway?
No, I didn't do. I wait till you're doing your Mythos card
You're like sometimes.
most of the time.
I think Good Weather is also going to be like really nice and min where you have like that card draw. I was just very impressed by that card, so I wanted to shout it out.
I think it's pretty good.
Nautical Charts is here to represent some discard stuff. Discard's pretty banger in this set. And then Improvised Weapon, we got an upgraded version for that. Not for Winging It or Impromptu Barrier, which is probably okay. I'd rather have like more damage options than more clue options at the higher level for Survivor. Because Survivor clue potential is like, while not on the same level of Seeker, is like 1 inch away. It's starting to get pretty crazy with the current full card pool.
Don't worry, Justin. We'll get upgrade winging it, but instead of giving you like 2 clues, because that would be broken, it just like gives you -2 shroud.
Doesn't it already do that?
No, it gives -1 shroud.
Okay, -2 shroud, but also still give 2 clues, right? And then also draw a card.
But only if
Yeah.
if the shroud is now 0.
Only if the shroud's now. Oh no, the 0 gives you 3 clues. Let's go!
Yes.
We did it! That was our last one of these histories for the classes. So I hope you enjoyed that. This is also our longest one. Good job, survivors.
Damn
You
it.
nailed it. Yeah. I mean, a lot of time to talk about scavenging, right? That ate up a lot of time to complain about that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. These are big videos, and I want to thank you for your support on them. Huge thank you to all our patrons for supporting the channel. We'll see you in 2 months for the next theme week, so look forward to that. In the meantime, have a good one, and as always, a GG's!